still live though?
Yeah, dude. It's live on my end.
Okay, now it is over here. That was weird.
Good morning.
Guess who's back? If you don't know, now you know, playa. Banners unfurled, trumpets sounding triumphantly across the nation as the great Lonzo has returned to us like the prodigal son that he is. Welcome.
I am the hype.
Good enough for me. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Thursday edition of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome in. How you doing? How's everybody? Good week? I hope so. Good. It is a great day for me because I get to go back to working with Lonzo, which is, it's all I ever wanted. It's all I ever needed. Yeah. And on top of that, I don't have to push all the buttons by myself.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
That's really the major
no,
thing.
that's not true. The major thing is I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you had a vacation. We talked a little bit about Lonzo's vacation activities, a lot of reading, a lot of enjoying time by the sea.
I fell.
Wait, what now?
I fell. It was into the ocean. So, it's
So you dove.
No. I fell. I went to pivot. And the leg gave out. So as I'm flying backwards and resign myself that I can't catch myself, I am looking into my son's eyes and the disappointment that I saw in his eyes. And to me, as I'm falling in slow motion, thinking, okay, now I've reached old in his eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
He said he said that's not what he thought. He thought I was just being goofy because when I fell, I just, you might as well sell it.
And you didn't roll with that? You weren't like, that's exactly what I was doing, Pappy?
No.
Exactly what I was doing. I was just having some fun.
No, other than that, things were good. And some of my favorite shops no longer heroes and villains. I'm going to point this out just because I don't care if I slam heroes and villains because they don't exist in this area anymore. They've decided to go completely anime. They took out all the t-shirts and they went with book bags. Okay. I get book bags are big for a certain audience, like teenage girls, but everything else was pretty much gone. And it's like, okay, your sign's a lie. Okay. This should just be the book bag store.
The book bag store.
But at least the 80s store still exists, so I'm able to rock this Back to the Future shirt.
It's a good shirt.
Yeah. So so at least there's that.
Good shirt. I don't hate it at all.
It was a good trip. I noticed I have like 400 emails that I haven't went through yet. And I just don't have time for that. I will eventually to find out how things went, including I apologize for yesterday. Not my fault, but I was on my way back and Cameron says, Rob's by himself. I'm like, oh, I'll have to find out about that tomorrow.
The good news, so for the good news for you, the good news for me, the good news for the boss man down the hall is that I'm very good at this job.
You are.
That's the good news.
Not as good as me over here, but that's fine. Ooh, that sounds like a challenge.
It does. It does
because you didn't immediately give me my bona fides.
I did. You were out what, 5 days?
Yeah, and
I did 3.5 of them by myself. So, I'm just saying you are very good at your job. But here's what I'm going to say.
I'm not good at scheduling, I suppose.
I am very good at my job and pretty good at yours.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Whatever.
So that's what I'm going to give myself credit for. I think I've earned it. I've earned it.
You know what? I can just go finish out the week.
No, listen, I've already been walked off home once this week. I don't want it to happen again. All right.
Okay. All right.
What a show we got lined up for you today, ladies and gentlemen. A lot we need to get into, a lot we need to talk about. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about some of the discussions that were had by one Dabo Swinney a few days ago, 2 whole days ago, at Clemson Open House Media Day.
Wow. And I heard something that you played earlier and I wanted to comment so bad, but I'll just wait till you play it on the air.
Well, good news for you. You'll have your chance because while I did not have time before yesterday morning's show to go down and pull some of that sound so you could hear the answers from him, I did do it yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean this morning. And I've got time to play them for you this morning. So we will listen to some of the things that Dabo Swinney had to say at Clemson Open House. I do have some audio from Shane Beamer from SEC Media Days a couple of days ago as well. We've really played most of the Beamer stuff. I got a couple of little one-off things, but we did a lot of Shane Beamer earlier in the week. We're doing a lot of Dabo Swinney towards the end of the week. And of course, next week on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Rob Brown will be up in Charlotte, North Carolina for ACC Media Days. Now, there is a bit of an update for those of you that have not tuned in this week. Clemson Day.
I'll say that would be me.
Yes, it is. Clemson Day is on Thursday. And I do have confirmed so far interviews with Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney. However, those interviews are after the show, after this show is off the air, okay? Those interviews are after this show goes off the air, and then I am off next Friday as the fiance and I will be headed down to the wedding destination to do our last little wedding prep activities. Got to go meet the caterer and the photographer and yada, yada, yada. So, with all of that being said, you will get Clemson Day next Thursday. And what I am going to do is, aside from giving my interviews with Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney to Diesel and Cole to run them wire to wire.
Come on. Don't do the teammate thing. Accidentally misplace the interview so it can be played on Monday.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
It's like, oops, I was in a hurry to get out of here and I forgot, which is very believable. I don't know if I know.
I strive for believable. So we will have those interviews. They will go Thursday evening with Cole and Diesel. I am off on Friday. So what I will do is I will post those interviews to our website Thursday after they are concluded. Those two interviews, Cade and Dabo, we do have a bunch of other interviews pretty much all week long. We have interviews throughout the day, as well as obviously we'll be gathering sound from press conferences and media open conferences, etc. We will grab sound throughout the week, and that will all be posted to the website as in real time as I can pull it off throughout the course of the week. And then off on Friday when I return on Monday, if you have not heard it yet, you will get full exposure to everything that we put in the can next Friday at ACC Media Days. SEC Media Days wrapping up today down in Dallas, Texas. And, I need more than anything else. I do need one thought from Lonzo on a story that he missed. This is John McDade. John McDade is the coordinator of officiating for the Southeastern Conference. I'm not going to set up the clip outside of telling you it's John McDade, the SEC's coordinator of officials. I'm just going to play the clip and then get Lonzo's gut reaction from it. He said, and then his little machine here screwed up because I've had to change it back and forth between computers about 11 times this week. John McDade, this is me stalling for time while that application reboots. John McDade was down at SEC Media Days. He is the one that does all the training and updating season to season on rules from the SEC to the officials. And he said this.
We've talked a lot about that in our officiating group since I've taken over in the 2020 season. And to be unsportsmanlike conduct, I'm asking my officials to use a framework of judgment where the act to be a foul needs to be in one of three buckets. It needs to be taunting an opponent. It needs to be a travesty of the game.
Travesty.
Or it needs to otherwise compromise our ability to manage the game. What's a travesty of the game?
What is the travesty of the game?
Just a phrase. I asked my officials, the act itself needs to be offending to the senses. If you took that act out of a football stadium and did it in a shopping mall or a grocery store, would it offend the senses to a majority of the reasonable people in the area, right? That signal would not, right? You might have some people that share that signal with you. You did that at a grocery store or in a shopping mall, depending where you are. So it's very much, we're going to evaluate it in context. I could see a scenario. I want to be very cautious about using hypotheticals, right? But I could see a scenario where an opponent of Texas makes a big play in celebrating with his teammates, possibly going back to the sideline. They're giving the signal. It's not taunting. It's not making a travesty of the game. It's not affecting our ability to manage the game.
What's he talking about, Lonzo?
Okay, at first I thought there were birds flying, and then I finally got it. So we're talking about horns down.
There it is.
We're talking about this.
There
we're
it
talking
is.
about horns down. Really, that has become a thing. The only school that has to get special rules for them.
Well, they had special rules. They don't anymore because the Southeastern Conference looked Texas in the face and said, boys, if this hurts your fifis, you're going to get your ass kicked in this conference, dudes.
Yeah,
you're going to get smoked.
There is that. And the fact that it's being brought up and pointed out only means that it's going to happen at every single SEC stadium they go to.
It's going to happen at every stadium they go to, period. Right? Out of conference games, in conference games, basketball arenas. It doesn't matter what Texas does.
They may look over. Lane Kiffin might be doing it. I mean, it's possible.
Out
of all the coaches, he would be the one that would do it.
Knowing Lane, and I don't know Lane, but knowing Lane, I got to tell you, I suspect like whatever pass call is, every team's got their like, this is our go-to play. When in doubt, if it's, the play clock's winding down and we just got to get up there and run something, this is the play we're going to run. We know we're comfortable. We know we got this, right? Everybody's got this down to a science. We drilled it to perfection during the offseason. It would not shock me from Lano if the hand sign to indicate to Jackson Dart, that's the play I want, isn't just Lane hitting like the repeated vicious horns down as that sign.
I hope so. That would be excellent. That really would be good.
Those, how a lot of the teams now, they go to those big, like project boards that they put like 4 pictures on them.
Yes.
Right. And the random pictures. And then the coaches give a signal and then that signal translates to the board. And then the picture on the board represents a play for it. I bet Lane's got a horns down on like, it's the top right corner of all of those signboards that he puts up. It's like, it'll be like, smiley face emoji. It'll be Michigan M. It'll be a hot dog and then the horns down emoji. And then the next board will be like Bulbasaur and then the Batman sign and then, like a head of lettuce and then the horns down sign. It's just going to be on every one when Texas comes to town for the first time.
That sounds like an all-out pass to me. But, I hope so. Man, now I may have to watch Texas football just to see that stuff.
Are you high on Texas football this year?
No. That's why I said I think we're really going to see a welcome to the SEC to them. I think we are.
Yeah,
because they're going to come in with a certain kind of cockiness, which is accepted in the SEC, but you have to earn it. And they're going to come in thinking everything they did before matters, and it doesn't. You got to do it there.
Yeah,
you know why, Rob? Because it just means more there.
It does just mean more. That's what I've been told. I've seen the commercials, actually.
Ashley Judd, I believe.
That was not Ashley Judd. That was just some random brunette lady on a beach.
No,
she's Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's the one who says the phrase.
No, so I'm sure she has said it. The commercial that we all made fun of when it first dropped, I don't think it was Ashley. Go see if we can look it up. See if you can find it. If not, I'll find it during the break. But I don't think it was Ashley Judd. It was like some random brunette lady on the beach, and they were on the beach in Destin, which is where the SEC spring meetings happen. And she's just like, in the SEC, it just means more. And you're like, dude, are you about to boink the SEC tonight, lady? You sound really turned on by that. It was almost creepy the way she said it, right?
Well, there's a bunch of other stuff that's coming up. That
for sure.
I don't want to,
But
it's very political, so I don't want to delve any further.
The commercial that got that whole campaign started was so weird. And I don't think it was weird. I didn't think it was weird because of the tag. It just means more. It's like, all right, everybody, Big Ten calls themselves the Conference of Champions. Like, all right, you've got the same number of championships as the Big 12 since the turn of the century. You're not really the Conference of Champions, but we don't get on it. It wasn't that they went with the tagline, it just means more to me. It was that lady in the commercial that damn near felt like she was trying to talk the SEC into a one-night stand. It just means more. Calm down, Linda.
Well,
Relax.
I've been told by marketing reps that sex sells, Rob. So I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, I've
That's,
as a former PR agent, I know that. Really hard to translate that into local politics, but
is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now. One of the I won't give an exact position because I'm sure there's people down in Florida listening who will know exactly what I'm talking about. But there was a gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, who was a mid-ranking county official when I worked there. And there was a point in time, so where we were going to put down a new water main in the down Main Street, down the middle of one of two primary streets in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where I grew up, right? There's Racetrack Road, and then there's Eglin Parkway. And the city's a big square. So you got Racetrack and Eglin that go down the side, and then you got Highway 98 and Mariester Cutoff that go down to form the square. And then the whole city's basically inside of that big square. And if any one of those four roads go down, the whole city is bleeped at that point, right? So we had to put down a new water main down Racetrack Road, which was going to require about a mile of Racetrack Road, the main thoroughfare in the town, to be shut down for like 3 months while they did this project. And I was talking to the boss, and I'm like, the county manager, I was like, I want you to know, dude, I'm about to quit this job. He goes, why? And I'm like, because you were about to shut down the most important road in the city for 3 months. And I know every day I'm going to get on the Facebook 1,000 times about why is this not being worked on around the clock until it's done. And at that moment, a county commissioner who, great one, I say this lovingly, was Boss Hogg. And not only was Boss Hogg.
I was already picturing the other guy as Boss Hogg here, but okay.
No, my county commissioner, cool guy, man. Younger guy, early 40s, just like in shape, super swag, cool guy. This guy was Boss Hogg. And Zoe, he made you look skinny. He made me look skinny. All right? This dude was going about 450, 460 when he walked in the room, right? And he walks in the room and he hears me say, I'm going to be miserable for 3 months, because for 3 months, the people are going to come after me for y'all banging up this road. And he looks at me and he goes, well, why don't you make it sexy? Sex sells. I was like, why don't you get out of this room, Boss Hogg? You can't. Number one, you can't make, hey, town, we're shutting your primary road down for 3 months for a water main. You can't make that sexy. And then what I don't need is a 450-pound dude from Crestview, Florida. I don't need you coming here trying to tell me. And it's not like he said it as a joke, Lonzo. Like, he looks me in the face and he goes, make it sexy. Sex sells. How am I making a highway closing sexy, boss? Anyway, sex sells, but not from that guy. It does sell from lady on the beach panting over the SEC. It just means more. All right, we got a lot to get to. Comments from Dabo Sweeney. Dan Orlovsky talks about Josh Allen, and uses the phrase,
who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff?
And we'll see what he was talking about when he said that, because I think Lonzo might take some offense to it. We'll see.
That's the one thing I have seen this week.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
All right, so you've addressed the X thing with the powers that be. Okay.
Yeah. We are going to have the conversation about getting the station page verified, so that we can use it.
Okay.
But in the 3 days since the drop off, Cole texted me last night because Cole's Twitter account is verified. And Cole said that if we want to,
He paid to have his. Okay.
I suspect that was part of his thing when he was working for the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
And then he just held on to it. Doesn't matter. His is verified. And he said that they just went live on theirs and then had the station page retweet his tweet onto the station page. But my thought is, I think we can come off $9.99 a month for, a couple hundred streams a day. But we'll see.
Okay. I was going to say, take us off the stream for a second. I can do it. Isn't like, because we've lost.
Be right back,
most of
guys.
things.
Okay, we're gonna get some football talk in here, but I have to drag you down because I just thought of this thing that happened to me yesterday, Zoe.
You got to drag me down.
Who? So yesterday I was flipping channels in the afternoon. All right, doing a little work around the house, getting ready for the BetQL hit last night, and getting the show ready for today. And I'm flipping channels because last night there was WNBA and nothing else on. Right? No NBA, no WNBA.
There was a AEW Dynamite, but
there was, but I catch up the next day. I don't know why. I've trained myself to the point that I can't do wrestling with commercials in it anymore.
Be here in town next week.
Not only are they, but interview set up. So
really, okay,
yeah,
all right.
You're not gonna like it. We're getting the bald guy. We're getting Dax.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
yeah.
Now he might not be the only one. There is also a chance that we may get Stat, friend of the show, back in studio.
Ooh, okay.
Dax may be in studio too, just for the record.
That's fine. Whatever. I mean,
But I've also reached out to.
You think I'm not going to ask him the question?
Oh, for sure, sure.
No, I don't want to hurt relations. So
I also don't want you to do that.
yeah, but I mean, when you say this fist and that you don't climb up on that, and I see you up on the top rope all the time, I got a problem with that.
It's almost like it's a character gimmick.
Yes. So okay.
So I have that. Those were the two that were offered to the building, but also, we got friends in low places, and so I've reached out directly. And wow, that's all right. You came back from vacation. All right,
I did, but it still counts.
I've reached out to our friends in, I guess I should call them friends in high places.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Is there anybody else? And she wrote me back last night and said, good chance. Let me get back to you. So fingers crossed. I'll let you know. But we do have AEW coming up. And we also got some tickets. So me and you, we're not giving any away. Me and you got tickets. That was really mean of me to do. And I realized that was. I didn't mean for it to go that way. Okay. I was really more just excited to tell Lonzo, hey, we got hooked up with some tickets.
I've been gone for a week. So, and when I go, I don't really have too much interaction with anybody. I turn the radio off and I'm silent.
So we will have some some stuff for you coming up. All right, quick story. Yesterday, flipping channels, getting ready for the BetQL hit, and I come across you're a Wheel of Fortune guy at all?
Back in the day. Yeah. I was around when it first started.
Wheel of Fortune, when Wheel of Fortune comes on, the lady friend and I, any game show, we compete against each other. That's like our favorite thing, right? Name that tune, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, whatever. We compete against each other. Was flipping channels yesterday. She was in the Bro Cave. Wheel of Fortune came on, and there was a gentleman with an eye patch on, Lonzo, and he spins the wheel, and he asks for a tea or whatever, and they give him two, and he goes, I'd like to buy a vow, and out loud, without thinking about it, I just went, please ask for an eye. And she gets up and just walks out of the room.
See, I thought he was going to ask for an R.
All right. That's all. That's the whole story. That's the whole story. But I had to share it with you.
Hey, listen, she should be used to that by now.
Yeah. I asked her, I'm like, what is that the line? Like that, of all the things I've said to you, that's where you leave the room. And she also didn't answer that. She just left. She just went into the bedroom and turned on Law and Order or whatever. In fairness, I get it. It was pretty jacked up, but it made me laugh. All right, we were talking Texas Longhorns. I'm not a believer in Quinn Ewers. And I got to tell you, and maybe this may come back to haunt me.
How much better is he than that Manning boy?
Here's the thing. I got no reason to believe in Arch Manning either, right? Like if Arch Manning was the second coming of Pepe, if he was the next Peyton Manning.
I'm going to drink a lot of beer tonight, Jim. Budweiser.
Then wouldn't he be the starting quarterback, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah, he should be. Exactly.
Not just be the starting quarterback, but somebody would have made him an offer you can't refuse to leave Texas and transfer somewhere, right? Like somebody would have put it out there that he can go to another team and make $1 billion and start. He would have been one of those two things, but he's neither. So I don't really have a reason to believe in Arch Manning as a savior either. Steve Sarkisian said at SEC Media Days that you will see both of those guys this year. Both of those guys will get some PT this year. And I'm like, all right. Like if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And also, if Arch was the savior, wouldn't he already be the guy? And the answer to me is like, yeah, I think so, but he's not. So I'm trying to figure out how it is that Quinn Ewers is the most important quarterback in the Southeastern Conference, right? Like every time I turn on SEC Net live from SEC Media Days or whatever it's been for this past week, it's like every time I flip on, they're like, Texas. It's Texas. Texas is in. Texas is going to beat Georgia. Texas is coming. Quinn Ewers is him. And I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying, have you seen enough to say he is? Have you seen enough to say he's the guy? Because I will make one opinion known. If Quinn Ewers ain't him, Texas is in trouble this year. All right? That's a tough schedule they got ahead of them. It's not going to be an easy year for Texas. They open with a win in Colorado State. Guess where they go in week 2, Lonzo? They're at Michigan in week 2. at Michigan in week 2. When Michigan's still excited, they won't have lost a game at that point. Michigan's going to be up. Texas should theoretically be better than Michigan. It's a step back year, but that's a tough place to play.
We need a man on the street for that. We should put a contact to our guy in Michigan. Reach out to our guy in Michigan.
Yeah, I think I got a guy in Detroit
to see if he's willing to come on the show and preview that.
I think he would be. So we'll get a.
I don't think he's busy in the morning.
No one's busy this morning, this early. UTSA ULM to open. Then here's their run through the rest of the schedule. Great one. They got 3 easy ones and then a trip to Michigan to open. Then they've got Mississippi State at the house, at Oklahoma, Red River Shootout. That's a neutral site game. Back home for Georgia. Back to back to back. Then they're at Vandy. Then they come back home for Florida. Then Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M to wrap it up. That's I said it's a tough schedule. That's a middle of the pack schedule. That's not the most impressive schedule of anybody in the conference. But it ain't an easy one either. And everybody right now is saying it's all on Quinn Ewers. And if that is the case, unless my man learned how to throw a more accurate deep ball down the stretch, which I think you're going to have in the Southeastern Conference this year if you're Texas. If you can't throw the deep ball, if you can't take the lid off of defense and force SEC defenses to not throw extra defenders at you.
I was going to say, how's his legs? Because he might be needing them when he goes up against SEC defense.
Might. Bro, I'm going to tell you right now, the 2 guys I am worried about early out of the gate are Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers, right? Because those 2 guys are in similar situations. Both teams expecting to have Texas can't really have a better year. They went to the playoffs last year, but both teams expected to have good years. Both teams expected to be playoff teams. Both teams needing growth from their quarterback to get there. And both teams have Georgia on the schedule relatively early for, I guess not early, middle of the season for Texas, but week 1 for Cade Klubnik. If you can't take the top off the Georgia defense, if you allow the Georgia defense space to get extra pressure against you early, your quarterback's going to die. They're just going to get ransacked. So I'm interested. Now, I will point out, and I'll give him credit for it, this offense averaged 36 points per game last year under Quinn Ewers. But it was also a schedule last year that included Rice, Wyoming, Baylor, Houston, BYU, Kansas State, TCU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. It's not... Oh, by the way, 36, they put up 57 against Texas Tech. They put up 35 against BYU. They put up 40 against Kansas. Kansas is going to be better this year. They weren't great last year. They put up 37 against Rice. So a lot of those 36 per game did indeed come against their FCS opponents and their lower level FBS opponents. It was a fine offense. It was good enough to make a playoff. It's a weird spot, and I acknowledge, Lonzo, it's a weird spot for me to sit here and say I have questions about a quarterback who last year not just went to the playoff, but went to the playoff without his best weapon, John Brooks, in the offense, because remember, he popped his ACL. You got 5 skill position starters that have to be replaced this year, including John Brooks, including Jatavion Sanders, all 3 starting wide receivers. You did bring in some guys, right? You brought in Isaiah Bond from Alabama, Matt Golden from Houston, Silas Bolden from Oregon State. You brought in some guys, but you think them and Quinn Ewers are just going to get a deep ball chemistry right out of the gate? I don't. I don't get the Texas love. I think they're going to be good. I think they absolutely could be a playoff team. But this whole they're going to win the conference out of the gate thing got real old to me real quick. All right, when we come back here in a minute, got the opportunity to go down to Clemson on Tuesday and hear what Dabo Swinney had to say in an open press conference with the media. Pulled some of the highlights of that. And I'll play those for you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Hey, man, you popped that P. Real
Yeah,
hard.
I don't know how that
I
happened.
know. I mean, that was like.
Michael, what's up, big guy?
Couldn't get the TV thing.
Do the thing. Do the thing. Excuse me for just a minute, guys. Let me fix the TV thing. Be right back.
So I'm curious about what's going to go on when Rashad's on, as far as the bump. So is Rashad premium?
I do not know. I'll look to find out. But also, his views come from YouTube, not Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Men have skin too. Apparently.
Do we?
That's what the commercial said.
But yes, his Twitter is.
Boy, I really miss doing sports flashes. I was thinking I could be doing a sports flash today as I'm looking at the ocean.
I gotta say, I was kind of nailing him.
Of course you were, because you wrote them, so they're gonna. I mean, you know. Did you do it in 60 seconds though?
No. Well, some of them, yes. And then there were a couple where I had just gotten into the story and realized I didn't have the, where the hook is that goes, you got 15, because there's a hook at 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And there was one or two where I started it and missed the hook. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm going 10 long. Don't care.
Yeah. When that hook hits, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I gotta speed this
And
up.
there were a bunch I didn't get listen to wire to wire. I was just like, end of story. Button.
Good morning.
Good morning indeed, my dear friends. Welcome
Big
in.
Daddy, how you doing?
Real good. Corey LaJoy, real good. Corey LaJoy not getting fined by NASCAR, by the way, for his incident with Kyle Busch at Pocono, which is the right call. You know, it's kind of like when two of your favorite wrestlers end up in a feud together, though. You know how sticky of a situation that gets to be as a fan? Like, for instance, when friend of the show Gunther takes on friend of the show Damian Priest.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I was thinking that the other night while I was watching the matchups. Like,
I've got my
okay,
favorite, by the way.
Okay, I don't,
I've got my favorite.
I know who I think's going to win, but you guys will just have to wait on that.
Till 9:20 this morning when Fight Club kicks in.
Well, that ain't happening for 2 more weeks, so.
Oh, I was like, Fight Club's not happening for 2 more. I got you.
No.
I
mean, I'm not going to give you my prognostication
That's
until
fair.
then.
That's fair. We got a lot between here and there. But any hoodles, that's kind of the spot that I find myself in right now in regards to the Kyle Busch, Corey LaJoy thing. We'll come back to that later in the show because I do think it's important to talk about. But earlier this week, got a chance to head down to the Clemson Media Open House. They do it every year. They are very kind, phenomenal lunch provided for us. Little teriyaki chicken and a little lemon pepper salmon, some mashed potatoes, some fresh country veggies. All right, some New York cheesecake.
Were the mashed potatoes red potatoes?
No, they were classic traditional Southern mashed potatoes with garlic and butter.
They weren't grown like out on the field outside the campus.
I don't know. I don't know if they grow potatoes at Clemson.
It's an ag school, so
Yeah,
that's probably
that's true.
what they,
I will tell you what it was, though. I'll tell you what it was. It was delicious. It was delightful. It was. Anyway.
Who sat at what table did you sit at?
I sat with friend of the show, Susan, our photographer friend, on Twitter. And I sat with Chapel Fowler from the state. He was phenomenal. First time I've gotten to meet him in person. He was great. And I sat, who else was at our table? There were a couple of the big names at our table. It was very nice. Got to shake some hands and kiss some babies and whatnot.
Cool. Making connections. That's what
for
you
sure.
do. Networking.
For sure. Yeah, and great guys, great gals. It was phenomenal. Anyway, got the chance to go listen to Dabo's presser. A couple of things that stood out. These were some of the bigger moments from that press conference. I got a few. Here's Dabo Swinney first, talking about Cade Klubnik last year and going into the spring and how Dabo views Cade Klubnik right now.
He had a great spring. He really did. And we don't put a lot on the spring game, good or bad. It's just one of 15 days, and it's really the one day where you kind of everything is diluted. But we evaluate him on what we've seen. Each and every day, and even the summer part of it, he's in our eyes has taken the next step that we need to see to this point. Now it's got to go happen on the field, and that's what you want to see, and that's what it's all about. I just think that he's a first year starter, and we're just so quick to just crucify people, if you will. If they're not some Johnny All-American the first time they step on the field.
Pretty coach speaky, right? That's pretty much what you're going to get.
So what he's saying is he's added to his repertoire. Now, not only can he hand off to the right, he can hand off to the left. Look at that. Yeah. It's a natural progression. When you're really good at doing things to one side, and then you work on it really hard, and then you can do the same thing to the other side.
I don't think that's what he was saying, but I get it. I don't think that was
Maffa's in the backfield. You don't want to hand the ball to that guy on the right side or the left side. So you got to get more comfortable handing to the left as well as the right.
Phil Maffa's going to be a beast, though. He's going to be a dude. He's going to have to be a dude. Because I think Phil Maffa being a dude is what unlocks Cade Klubnik developing into a better passer. Dabo did go on to say that he is very proud of what he has seen in Cade Klubnik so far this offseason.
I'm proud of him, man. He's really worked his tail off physically. He's matured. The biggest thing for him is just, minimizing the negative plays. Just too many negative plays last year as a first-year starter. And what I mean by that, well, he had too many fumbles. Just balls on the ground. He took too many TFLs, tackles for loss, that shouldn't have been a tackle for loss. He took too many sacks on him. And so those are things that you want to see him take a big step forward this year as a second-year starter. I think we will. So we're gonna find out real quick in that opener. But he's worked hard. He's really grown as a leader. And we're excited about, where he is to this point. And we got to go to work, man. I mean, everybody's got a lot to prove.
I mean, nobody more than Cade. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that when we look at what Cade Klubnik needs to be this year, one thing I found interesting in that answer was that Dabo laid. Does anybody think Clemson had a good offensive line last year? I don't think anybody does, right? But Dabo said, look, a lot of that was on him. A lot of that was on him. A lot of that was on him. A lot of the TFLs were on him. A lot of the dumb plays were on him. And Garrett Riley, and unfortunately, I do not have the sound from this. Garrett Riley said kind of the same thing in his media availability earlier in the day.
So wait. So what he's saying is that all the mistakes that Cade made, he made them.
No, I don't think so. It's that because he said a lot of the, not all of the.
All the mistakes he talked about were things that you could do better as, with your eyes down the field or whatever.
Listen,
holding on to the ball too long, things like that. That's on him.
That is also correct. But also, as is the case with other quarterbacks in the Carolinas, if your offensive line is 5 turnstiles, you're going to take sacks no matter how damn good you are. Drew Brees got sacked a lot.
I'm also confused. He said as a first-year starter, didn't he start the year before?
As a first-year full-time starter.
Okay, because that's not what he said. He said as a first-time starter.
I'm going to say.
I could have swore like half the season at least.
I'm going to say no, it was not half. It was like 3 games before that. But I am going to say.
Are you sure?
Yes. I am going to say that last year was his. I accept last year was his first time as a full-time starter.
Wow, that means a lot.
It does for me because I know ball.
Mr. Bryce Young is a rookie. Okay.
Yeah, Bryce Young is a rookie this year.
Uh-huh.
The garbage he went through last year. We'll fight about that later. I want to keep going with this. Our own Cole Bryson, C-Money, as everyone around here calls him, asked Dabo, how do you, especially with all the criticism, all the heat that you have been taking because of the fact that you're the only school that did not get a transfer in, how do you prevent that? All of that talk from becoming a distraction?
Just focus on what matters every day, what we control, and just our daily process that we have. I mean, that's the main thing. There's always things that are completely outside of your control. But we just try to keep the main thing. I mean, lawsuits and all that stuff, that's other people deal with all that. The other changes in college football, it's just integrated into what you do every single day. So, no different than any other change that happens from year to year. But it's not a distraction. It's just part of what we do.
Is it integrated though? I mean, because all the hype around is it not being integrated, right? That transfer portal and all that stuff is not being used. I think something has to be used to be integrated. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big word for me. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think what he means is it's integrated into college football now. That's kind of been my argument about why this is a prove-it year for Dabo Swinney, in my opinion, right? Because at this point, we're still learning, we're still figuring it out, we're still working out the mechanics and how they fit in our program. That's gone. You've had the portal for 3 seasons now. You've had NAL for 3, or going into 3 seasons, 2 full now. We're still learning the process. Is not an acceptable excuse anymore. It was a reason to me the first couple of years. Now it's an unacceptable excuse. So I don't have an issue with what he's saying and how he's saying it. Again, it is a little coach speaky, but he's saying, the lawsuits between the conference and the school, not on us. The concept of the NIL and the portal and all the things you guys are saying about us about that. We can't control any of that. All we can control is what we can control. And that's fair within the team, right? When the team gets out there on, what is it, August 31st to play Georgia. It's not like Dabo's going to be in the huddle going, all right, guys, nobody hears from the portal. Here's the gameplay. Like, that's not a part of football on Saturdays. But to say that it doesn't have an impact when it's a main priority of roster building, I don't necessarily think that's all that fair either. One more for you, Dabo Swinney. When asked about last year and what went right and what went wrong, there was one consistent theme that jumped out early.
The biggest thing is, from a team standpoint, offensive standpoint, I don't know, we were 100 and something in fumbles lost. And if we're 50th, we're probably 11-1 last year. That's just the reality of it. But that's how small the margin is, in the game of football. We've got to win the close games. I think we lead the nation in close games since 2011, 8 points or less, and there's a bunch of them. And I think we lead by a good margin. I think we're almost 78% or so. And I don't think anybody else is in the set. I think next closest is maybe 60-something%. Those are hard games to win. But in the last 3 years, we haven't done a great job in those close games. One play, and you got different narratives and different comments and things like that. Not much has changed. So sometimes you just got to have a little good fortune. And we've had a bunch of it around here. Oftentimes we discount the impact of just a little luck. Sometimes you just have a little luck go your way, and sometimes it doesn't go your way. That ball hits the goal post with Whitesy and it just went that way. Kayvon Wallace punches that ball out at Texas A&M. Guys going in to score, and instead of the ball going just behind the pylon, it just goes in front of the pylon. So it's a touchback. We got the ball as opposed to they got the ball on the one.
So he kind of leaned on that a lot, right? Kind of leaned on, we got unlucky in some spots. He started off with, and I'm going to give him credit for this. He started off with, we were 100-something in fumbles this year, and if we're 50th, if we're just in the middle of the pack, we're probably 11-1. I don't know that I'm really ready to go that far. All right. I think 10-2 was realistic. I think there were absolutely a couple of games last year. Clemson probably gets a different result if they don't turn the ball over. But
yeah, he just sounds like a lot of the Clemson fans. We won that until we didn't. I mean, yep, you're right.
No, listen, and this is the difference between, I think, the way that I do this and the way a lot of people do this, former colleagues and whatnot. Yeah, I absolutely understand. This is why I have worked with people who have said you don't really need to watch every snap of every game to be able to talk about a team. And I disagree fundamentally. I absolutely do think you do. Because you might look at a quarterback like Cade Klubnik is taking 4 sacks in a game. Well, I can go look back. There's a reason he got sacked on every play, right? There's a reason for each one of those sacks. And if you go look and you find out that the left guard was just getting the crap kicked out of him for the entire game and no changes got made to help eliminate that, then I'm not going to sit here and let people, and this is something that's already happened in this segment, I'm not going to sit here and let people drop bombs on Cade Klubnik or Bryce Young when it is very clearly not on them. And I'm not saying every sack isn't on them. Did Bryce have a couple of spots last year where he was too slow getting rid of the ball? Yes. Yes, of course he did. But it wasn't the majority of the time. It wasn't even close to the majority of the time. And I think you got to dive into that. You guys also know my you also know my thought on Luck, right? You also know he said, well, he punches the ball out and it goes out in front of the pylon instead of behind the pylon. Well, if you're the guy that's carrying the ball, you know how you prevent that from happening? Understand you're getting chased down and don't let the ball get punched out. That's the difference between lucky and good, right? If you're the team doing the punching in that spot, you've got to understand where he is in relation to the field and try to get that a step earlier so you give yourself a chance, right? Like the luck thing, I'm not saying luck isn't involved in football. It's football. I'm saying the more I hear somebody rely on, we just got a little unlucky, the more I hear we weren't fully prepared. That being said, I think Dabo was fine. I think he was a head coach at a press conference. Pretty much that. You know who else is segue to a sports flash.
You know, Luck is no longer involved in football. He retired a couple years ago. Team USA basketball dominated Serbia yesterday, earning a 105-79 victory over Nikola Jokic, the most impressive performance of their Olympic warm-up so far. The U.S. ended the first half on a 19-5 run with their second team and opened the second half with an 11-0 run from the starters. Bam Adebayo had 17 points, Steph Curry had 24, and Anthony Edwards added 16. A good news, bad news situation for Major League Baseball. Paul Skeens, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge were able to help raise the ratings for the 2024 Midsummer Classic by a full 6%, but it remains the second lowest viewed All-Star game ever. The Home Run Derby was down 11% viewership rather, though. Both events were opposite the Republican National Convention, which a lot of people watched, apparently. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports, all Wire to Wire. Hey, man, I just got back, so, I was like 3 seconds over. My understanding is Rob was over every time, so, I mean.
Imagine getting everything ready for a summer road trip. You got your hotel, your activities planned, your food budget set, and then bam, you blow a tire right before you leave, and your carefully planned out budget is shot. It doesn't have to be that way. Hey, this is Diesel from 93.3 The Planet and a fan upstate. Let R&R Tire Express get you road trip ready with new tires installed for just $20. Then choose a flexible payment option that fits your budget. Locations in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. RNRTires.com. Don't miss Bourbon and Bacon Fest, Friday, September 27th at Judson Milk, downtown Greenville. Sample bourbons and whiskeys from local, new, and well-known distilleries, while feasting on bacon-themed bites from top restaurants. VIP, general admission, and designated driver tickets are on sale now. Proceeds support Carolina Adaptive Golf, benefiting veterans.
The new sales guy, Marco, is going to come sit in for a couple of segments just to listen, get a feel for the show.
No.
Huh?
No.
No? Okay.
No, we're not doing guests today.
Not a guest. He's just coming to.
Yeah, it just sounds like a guest, so no. As if I have that power. If I did, I would say welcome, because maybe he will understand my brilliance and realize that I also need to be doing advertising. Just saying.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a
I still have 200 emails to go, but I'm just going to wait on those.
That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With range of supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customers.
So I'm trying to think, should I respond to the corporate guy who sent me like 35 emails telling me about training? Was he being smart aleck, or did he just accidentally hit send that many times? I don't know.
The same email?
Yes, it's the same email. Like I wait a long time to do training or something. I mean,
Well, we got to change how we're doing podcasts.
Yeah, I went through that. I went through that telephone conference, but we're also supposed to practice.
Yeah.
And you got to sign up for that. I think it has to do with that. But I was on vacation, dude. Leave me alone. I don't look at my email while I'm on vacation.
Damn, Steven. All right.
That's saying a lot, seeing as how I went a couple seconds over.
I did one where I was like a full 20 seconds over, but I also went to break early. So,
Well, the thing is, that break is not consistent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you wish it would be, so you could have a post to hit every time. And
see, I genuinely don't care if I go over on the sports flash a few seconds.
okay, here's the thing. That bed is there for a reason. I could extend the bed and make it longer. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that because it's a challenge for me every day. Life is a contest. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but you would like to win more than you lose. I wasn't at Myrtle. I was at Garden City. So it was really hot, though. I spent more time on the balcony than I did in the actual beach. And shopping. Went shopping. Got me a nice hat for something that's coming up. Yes. And then he said, "I'll show you. I'll just leave." And then he did. He just walked out, knowing I'm going to play Good Morning 25 times till he gets back. There he is. There he is.
Our visitor wasn't just standing around out there.
Oh, okay. So you meant this segment?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
Sorry.
so not like that.
Yeah, no.
I was only half paying attention because it's like I'm,
on vacation.
was on vacation. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yes, it is.
Well, I have to let him know I'm back. Okay.
You could just open the mic and say, "Hello, I'm Lonzo,
Yeah,
and I am back."
But this is my signature, yo.
Good morning.
You should have a better signature. Ladies and gentlemen, Lonzo's back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Welcome in my dudes, my dudettes. Hope you're excellent, bro. We got a lot coming up on the show today. 8:40 a.m. We'll be joined by Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast. We'll talk a little silver and blue football with Rashad. That's coming up in an hour and 40 minutes. Looking forward to that as we do every single Thursday. And then it is Thursday. And you know what that means. Fight Club coming up at 9:20 this morning. And we are at no shortage at all.
Oh, I'm extremely excited about Fight Club because I was able to accomplish something while on vacation that Rob may walk around and give me a pat on the back. Well, I don't want him to do that. I shouldn't have suggested that because I don't like being touched. But anyway, you will be like, yeah.
Well, I'm very excited now. Oh, speaking of Fight Club, here's one. Last night I did my BetMGM Tonight hit. Mario, Hayton S. Mario, my former producer, on Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network with me and former MLB player Cody Decker.
Is his hair still awesome?
It is. It is.
Good to know.
He owes me he's got to get a tattoo on his butt cheek of his own face. It's like a minimalist logo, but he exchanged like 4 or 5 really, really bad lost bet punishments for one, which is a $50 size tattoo of his logo, which is a minimalist version of his face on his butt cheek, right? Last night, but he owes me like 3 other ones too.
How is that a punishment? I mean, other than the needles,
A tattoo of your own face on your butt? Here's how it's a
that
punishment.
way they see you no matter which end they're looking at. I mean, I
Mario.
don't see how that's a punishment.
Because Mario is like a 25-year-old man. And also a 25-year-old man who has just moved to a new city, which means Mario right now has an opportunity to participate in mild amounts of debauchery as a young man who's just moved to a new city
Only
solo.
mild amounts?
Well, he's got the opportunity to engage in extreme debauchery. I just don't know that he has the capability of it.
Oh, so maybe pacing, possibly.
So there is going to be a point at some point where Mario is going to join the show and tell the story about how the night before he engaged in a little unskinny bop with a young lady in Washington, D.C., and after the festivities were concluded and he got up to dress himself and leave her apartment because he's not bringing one back to his, she went, what's that? And then he has to explain why he has a tattoo of his own face on his own butt to her. And I can't wait for that.
I just don't see how that's punishment, though. I mean, there's so many things you can say when she's looking at that you can make it all about you, and it's not that big of a deal.
He also does not
Now,
have
if it
any
was-
tattoos yet.
If it was someone else's face, that should have been the punishment.
Yeah, we were going to
If it was the Rob Brown logo, the minimalist face thing that you talked about, if it's the Rob Brown logo, that's totally different.
we were going, Deck and I were, with our signatures. He was going to have to get our actual signatures on there, but he wouldn't go for that. The get his own face tattoo.
Trey's
there, we got
right.
him there.
Mr. Coach Klein lost.
Mr. Coach Klein.
He didn't lose a bet. He did that on purpose. Roy Orbison.
Not wrong. So last night, Ryan Horvat, who is the host, one of the 3 hosts of BetMGM Tonight, asked he said, Rob Brown, Mario, there's an opportunity here. Up there, they are doing live, actual medieval combat. Have you seen this on like Instagram? There are dudes who put on legitimate crafted knight armor, like medieval knight armor, and take weapons. They blunt the edge of these weapons, but they take weapons and they build a medieval octagon, right? Stakes and sinew string around the outside. And they go in there and have actual combat, like actual medieval knights combat. And Horvat said, instead of getting the tattoo, can we put Mario into one of these? We have a connection. We can get him armored up and throw him in there and make him take a battle axe to the dome. And I thought, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But the thought of him, and he comes from a very like conservative Italian Catholic family, right? The thought of him having to explain to his mother why he has a tattoo, not just has a tattoo, but a tattoo of his own face on his own butt. I think I'd still rather see that than him take a battle axe to the head.
Why would he tell his mom that he did that? I mean, do you tell your mom everything?
Oh, he won't.
Okay. Oh, so
she listens to the show with Cody and I every week because she loves Cody Decker and I. All right. The moms love Rob and Cody. Love us.
By the way, I've done something similar at a
you got a tattoo on your
at
butt?
a Ren Fair.
Oh.
Yes, but it was leather armor with some metal on it. And that stuff was pretty heavy. And and we fought with an epi, whatever. I forget how to say it exactly. You don't know what that is? Look it up. Look it up. It's a very thin blade, but it's pretty long. And what they did, and you're wearing a leather helmet with metal inlaid into it, and a balloon on top of your head. And as soon as you swung with the first sword and you realize as soon as you get hit that it didn't hurt that bad, we just went nuts with it. I mean, I hit my cousin so hard the blade bent and hit him in the back. So I would love to do that. I am so out of shape and old.
Listen,
but I would do that in a second.
I will show you during the next break because I'm not gonna lie. This is a solid chunk of my Instagram algorithm at this point. Is just these dudes. And I haven't ruled it out. All right. It is 7:07 in the morning. You got about 52 and a half minutes until you've got to get your lazy behind to work. And then you got to clock in. You know, it's Thursday, which means you got to actually work today so you can half-ass work tomorrow and get ready for Saturday. By the way, just 5 more Saturdays until we're playing collegiate football on Saturday mornings. But you got 5 more Saturdays to kill. There's other sports going on. You need to know what's going on in those other sports. And because you need to know what's going on in those other sports, Lonzo and I, we do this for you every day.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Shut the hell up,"
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this morning. When you do, this is what you will be talking about. Let us begin with item number 1. U.S. basketball going through its last round of tune-up matches before they head to Paris, France for the 2024 Summer Olympic Games. They had a showdown last night with Serbia, different country, Serbia.
Would have been the same result. I mean, come on.
I think it would have been worse because Serbia does have Nikola Jokic playing for the team, although Nikola Jokic, not that good last night. A lot of defense play by Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis to limit the NBA's best player, maybe planet Earth's best player. 16 points, 11 rebounds for Nikola Jokic in a double-double effort for Serbia, but it did not matter. The Americans get the win in this one, a final score of 105-79. There were some interesting responses to the very close game that they played against Australia back on Monday. No letdown in this one. The Americans led by 25 after the third quarter, increased it to as high as 30 in the final quarter. It was the third different starting lineup in 3 games for the Americans. In this one, they went with a 2-guard set of Steph Curry and Drew Holiday getting the nod. Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid were joined by LeBron James in the front court. The only constants over the 3 exhibitions have been Curry, James, and Embiid. They're trying to get Embiid some extra time. Obviously, he dealt with the injury in the regular season last year, so they're trying to kind of work him back in, get that rust knocked off. No Kevin Durant, still sat for the 3rd straight game as he continues to recover from the calf strain he suffered earlier in training camp. Jason Tatum played 20 minutes in this game, ended up with 5 boards and 4 points, 11 for LeBron, 8 for Embiid, 24 for Steph Curry, who went 8 of 13 from the floor, including 6 of 9 from deep. Drew Holiday put in 8 as well, also came up with a steal, a couple of assists, and a couple of rebounds. Anthony Edwards is going to be a starter in these Olympics. Like, he's got to be a starter in these Olympics at some point. 16 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Also had 3 steals in the contest. You got 17 off the bench from Bam Adebayo, who went 6 of 9 and 3 of 5 from deep. Those are your primary reservists in this one. I don't think that this team put everything out there that they have in them. I think this team is going to continue to get dramatically better. They do have one more contest before they end up in France to begin the Olympics. The 23rd, I believe, is their first game, which is next Tuesday. We'll be talking a lot of Olympics while we are live in Charlotte, North Carolina for ACC Media Days next week. Let's get to item number 2. The Rookie of the Year contest in the WNBA is heated right now. Of course, Angel Reese went on her run of 15 consecutive double-doubles. That is a WNBA record. So Caitlin Clark had to respond. How did she do it? She set her own WNBA record last night. Hers for assists in a game. 19 assists in the Fever's 101-93 road loss to the Dallas Wings last night, the final game league-wide prior to a month-long break for the Olympics. The previous single-game assist record was 18 by Courtney Vandersloot for the Chicago Sky back in late August of 2020. Vandersloot also had an 18-assist playoff game in September of 2021. Caitlin Clark, the number 1 pick in the draft this past year, scored or assisted on 66 of the Fever's 93 points in the loss. That is the most responsible 4 points in a game in WNBA history, surpassing a 65-point effort from Diana Taurasi back in 2006. Diana Taurasi still plays, by the way. Clark became the second rookie in league history to score or assist or on 50 or more points in multiple games. The last to do it, you got to go back to 2008 when Tennessee legend Candace Parker made her debut in the league. Her career high for assists in college, 18 at Penn State back in 2022. Her previous WNBA season high was 13, which she had done 4 times. It marks the second 2015 game in league history, the other belonging to Vandersloot in 2018. It was Clark's 3rd game with 20-plus and 10-plus assists. The only other player to do that, Angel McCoughtry, back in 2009. The only 2 to make that happen. So this Rookie of the Year contest is white hot right now, dudes. Like, it is good. That being said, it's going to be about who finishes. It's going to be about who is the hottest, the latest. And I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. And let's get it wrapped up with item number 3. The Open Championship is underway this year, being played at the Royal Troon. The Royal Troon. It's in Scotland. The Royal. I can't do Scottish. I wish I could.
Come on. You were very Drew McIntyre-like there. You absolutely were. Maybe a little Gallus. I don't know.
Sir, you have left out the greatest Scotch wrestler of all time.
Because I do believe.
You do believe.
But if you say his name.
Do not say his name.
If you say his name, he will appear. That's the
say his
reason
name.
why I didn't say his name.
I like that his gimmick right now is teleportation.
How do you know it's a gimmick?
Anyway, the Royal Troon Golf Club in Scotland.
The thing is, you can't do it without shouting.
Freedom! I can't do it at all, but I can only get closer if I shout. It is underway at the Royal Troon, the Open Championship. Scotty Scheffler enters as a 5-1 favorite. If he's able to pull it off, it will be his 7th victory in one season. The last golfer to win 7 times in a season on tour, Alonso, 2007 was?
The last golfer to do what?
To win 7 times in one season.
7 times. Tiger Woods.
It was Tiger Woods. I knew you know it. The Open has been a challenge for Scotty Scheffler, though. His best finish at the Open, a tie for 8th at Royal St. George, which is in Sandwich, back in 2021.
Well, there was an Earl of Sandwich. That's how we got sandwiches.
Duke of BLT. Okay.
I don't know what that was, but now I want a BLT.
So do I. Rory McIlroy, of course, a power player at the U.S. Open back at what's that place I just went to? Pinehurst number 2 a couple of weeks ago. I was literally there.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot.
Yeah. Wow. You just wanted to point out you were there.
Yes, correct.
He is he ripped his hat off and showed it to the
I'm wearing the hat.
Yeah, showed it to the audience on the stream, by the way.
I am wearing the hat right now. McIlroy will play the first 2 rounds with Max Homa and Terrell Hatton. They'll tee off at 5:09 today, 10:10 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that. Scotty Scheffler, 5-1. Rory McIlroy, 8-1. The next favorites going down the list. Xander Schauffele at 13-1. Ludwig Aberg at 14-1. Colin Morikawa 14-1 as well. Bryson DeChambeau, 16-1. Tommy Fleetwood is 22-1. John Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, both at 25-1. And Victor Hovland is 30-1. Eldrick Tiger Woods is playing in this. He has been there practicing all week long. Colin Montgomery earlier in the week said, hey, dude, maybe it's time for you to step aside. Maybe it's time for you to make room. And Tiger said, oh, Colin, I've won this event. I have an exemption. I'm allowed to play as much as I want. What about you, Colin? Oh, that's right. You never won this event. So maybe don't tell me to retire, bud. It was a pretty good moment.
Didn't Tiger say his exemption was till he's 60?
Till he's 60.
Yeah, that's he's
It's
got
like
a little
2
ways
years
to go.
from now. It feels like. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. I got some more from Dabo Sweeney I would like to get to. I've got some from Shano. We got Rashad Beard in an hour and a half. I want to talk about Dan Orlovsky.
Who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff?
And his comments about Josh Allen. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live, and then we are on the way. Stay right there for me.
Got me. My hat's gonna look good though. I'm
Well, I can see it early because
I'm getting a cravat too. So yeah.
Lonzo just said the sentence, "I'm getting a cravat."
Oh yes, I am. I'm getting the cravats. It's going to be a stylish cravats. I hope to make sure that it's showy. You know, when I walk in, people notice anyway. But the cravat is going to stand
A cravat is for people who look down on people wearing ascots.
Yes,
I'm
You're
excited
right.
for you. I really am.
I've never had one. The thing is, I'm gonna have to order it online because no one around here sells cravats except for probably
They do.
a suit place.
You just
I'm
don't
not
know
go-
about it.
Well, I'm not going. I could go.
You're not allowed.
I could go to my suit guy, but you know,
You're not allowed in a place that sells
I
cravats.
but then I got to deal with wow, your neck is so massive. It's just how does one man? Well, anyway, you know.
Oh man. All right. Let's get to this. We've teased it a little bit. There's a quarterback that if you listen to the show, you know I'm a big fan of. All right. I think he's a dude. I think he's one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, to be honest
Does
with
he
you.
play in New Orleans?
He does not. David Carr, he transcends quarterbacks. All right.
David
Like
Carr?
every
It's
other.
not, are you sure it's David Carr?
Yeah. And Derek's better than him. That's how good Derek Carr is. Future Hall of Famer for the New Orleans. First ballot. In fact, not even first ballot. He won't even have to be on the ballot. Like he's going to retire and everybody's going to be like, that guy's just in. Like we're not going to vote.
We'll check back in after game 3.
Dennis Allen's still our coach. We are bleeped, dude. We are so bleeped. I almost didn't bleep myself right there. That's how bleeped we are.
I would have bleeped you.
Yeah, I know.
So we're good.
Dan Orlovsky was talking about my favorite not Derek Carr quarterback, Josh Allen, who has been getting shredded this offseason. And I do not understand why. I still don't get it. And here's what I hate is going to happen. What's going to happen is Stephon Diggs is gone. They bring on Keon Coleman, my favorite non-Xavier Legette wide receiver in the NFL. All right? I love Keon. He's a dude. He's hilarious.
Xavier Worthy's going to be better than both.
No. But we'll come back to that later. Xavier's going to be the second best wide receiver named Xavier in the league this year. So Josh Allen was talking a little bit. Dan Orlovsky was talking about Josh Allen and asked the same question I did. And then my man popped off.
One of the quotes that Jeremy collected from an NFL executive, he said of Josh Allen, quote, one of the more overrated players in the NFL. Immense talent, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He's underdeveloped at winning at the line of scrimmage, tends to lock onto targets, more of a thrower than precision passer, forces throws into traffic. And can I be honest with you? Dan Orlovsky, when I read that, the first thing I thought of was, please let Dan be on my show this week so I can read him that quote and let him respond. What do you think?
He's an idiot. That source, respectfully, I don't mean to be like that. That's moronic to say. First of all, Greeny, in the last 4 seasons, the only quarterback that has a better plus minus turnover to touchdown ratio is Patrick Mahomes. The only guy. So he's the only guy that you would definitively, without question, take over Josh Allen. They've lost to Kansas City 3 times in the playoffs. I mean, Josh Allen is 2 or 3 plays away from being a multi-Super Bowl appearing quarterback and potentially Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's lost to Kansas City in the playoffs by freak defense and lost to Kansas City in the playoffs by missed field goal. It's a moronic statement to make, and for some reason, I don't know what the reason is, Josh Allen has become the cover boy for who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff.
Nope. All of it. All of it.
Okay, so
every word he said was
I've already been saying this for a while now, and you've heard me say this. He is all those things. And I love, I'm so glad that we have Dan Orlovsky on the show. He's going to give this guy what for. Shut up. I mean, he is overrated. And he's just Josh. That's it. Just Josh. Just Josh.
You know,
all the spasmodic Josh Allen. No more. Just Josh.
Josh Allen.
And stop doing this, Orlovsky. It doesn't work on radio. It doesn't work on TV.
You have to be dramatic. It's more fun that way. This is a take Lonzo has been expressing for a couple of years now. And that is why I have said Lonzo
Who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff?
is in the mix. All right? Lovingly, like a brother.
I'm going home.
Taylor Swift hand heart emoji thingy to Lonzo.
You just call me stupid and then say
No,
Then
no,
you said bless your
no,
heart. That's
I
basically.
did not.
Yeah,
I
you did.
asked.
Who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff?
That's not calling you an idiot.
So you can say dumb things and not be dumb. That is true.
Correct.
We prove that
every segment.
and we win awards for it.
Correct.
So, but still, I stand by. This is not I'm trying to hype or whatever the opposite of that is, the Buffalo fans in the audience, which we know there are some.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with that. I think that he is definitely not the guy that some people think he is. He wasn't. Then suddenly they decided he was. And what's he ever done?
Orlov just told you.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, there's one guy better in the league. It's your guy. And the theory that I have thrown out at you, and again, hard hands emoji here. He's the only guy in the league right now. Maybe we add Lamar Jackson, another guy you beat up on.
I do.
Right?
Absolutely.
The only guys you beat up on are the most direct threats to Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying that's a coincidence.
You know what? Here's the thing. And we have to deal with this all the time. That was disrespectful. And I just want you to know that, how disrespectful that was to Patrick Mahomes. So
no, it was disrespectful to you.
Yeah, no. It was disrespectful to Patrick Mahomes when holding up another trophy. And you can hype up all those other guys. I mean,
here's the thing. Like, I think that there is this attitude of saying anybody else is good or is great even is somehow kicking the legs out from the baby goat Patrick Mahomes. And it's not.
By the way, real quick, that's not the thing. It's the exact opposite. If you say something that's disparaging towards Josh Allen, the media goes nuts because that's their guy. So if you say he might be over, oh no. I mean, Greeny was about to die when he was saying that. He couldn't wait because Orlovsky would say things that Greenberg would never say. So he was so excited about that. Like he didn't know what he was going to say because they have meetings and things before they go on TV. I'm going to continue to say he's overrated. I've said it from the beginning. I'm not just going to jump on some bandwagon that suddenly says he's overrated. He is overrated. And he has been and will continue to do so until he can win a Super Bowl.
And here's
his biggest challenge since he's been there is this year with who he's lost.
We are back to the winning rings is the ultimate sign of being great or not is a joke of an argument. Because if that's the argument you're leaning on, Brad Johnson's elite and Dan Marino's not. That's what that argument has to be.
Yes.
It's a bad argument.
Yeah.
No.
Who's Dan Marino? I mean, you go to the mall.
The legendary Something About Mary actor, Dan Marino.
Yeah, that would be it. If people, how old is that movie?
The legendary Skechers spokesman, Dan Marino.
He's not even that guy anymore. That's Tony Romo. So, I mean,
He did get replaced by Tony Romo.
He did. I mean, Dan Marino's like, what, 75? There are a lot of people
Marino's
out there.
like your age, dude.
No, he's not. He looks like he's 75, but, well tamed.
Yeah, well, because he had to play for those Miami Dolphins.
So blame it all on that.
Okay, 62. He's slightly older than you.
That's a little. That's
slightly.
Yeah, that's 7 years older.
Slightly.
So, yeah. Anyway, you go down to the mall and ask people who Dan Marino is. They ain't gonna know who he is.
So here's the spot that I find myself in. I am preparing myself mentally for what is going to happen this season. What is going to happen this season, because Stephon Diggs is gone. There's one of two multiverses that we're going to live in. Multiverse option number one, Keon Coleman does turn out to be a dude. He turns out to be the guy that Buffalo wants him to be. He turns out to be a one. And let's not, as we pointed out a couple of times, as much as we keep hyping Keon Coleman here, he's not the only wide receiver on the team. There are some other guys out there on this squad. Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel might have been one of the best middle of the pack free agent pickups out there, but they're also
Curtis
leaning
Samuel
on
is from wide receiver U, so that makes him better than everybody else. Yes.
Not everybody.
Well, just about. He has had a longer career than what I think people expected.
You also have, And this is the problem.
He also drops the ball a lot, if I recall.
Yes, he does. You know who else drops the ball a lot? The first backup wide receiver, MVS. No.
I want to
Say what I did there. MVS. No.
I got you. So
it's the opposite.
So was it last year or the year before when the Cheetah left Kansas City and they talked about, he's lost everything and he's going to drop off, but he didn't. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if Josh Allen is everything they say he is.
Well, here's what I'm glad. I'm really glad that you are putting the responsibility for that ring on Patrick Mahomes and not a stellar defense and the breakout of Rashee Rice, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what I'm going to say. What I am preparing myself mentally for is the absolute frustration that the talent of this team has taken a gigantic step back and everybody's going to pin it on him like he's the only dude. Just like Lonzo gives all the credit to only Mahomes, everybody's going to put all the blame on Jack. This is going to be the epitome of the year of quarterbacks get too much credit and take too much blame, and Josh Allen's going to be the guy that takes too much blame.
We are required by sports media law. It's not my fault you haven't read the handbook.
No one. Who is the media? Who is it that's out there giving too much love to Josh Allen?
All of them, except for right here. And whoever said that got Orlovsky all upset.
Who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff?
Me.
Yeah, you're right. You.
I shouldn't have said that. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we got to step away for this break. Stay right there. I'll remember that one day. All right, y'all stay right there. We'll be right back. Hacksaw Jim Duggan has a bachelor's degree in applied plant biology.
And I got to tell you, he's a lot bigger than people think. Saw him at South Carolina Comic-Con a couple years ago and just walked by. I was like, whoa, I thought he was shorter, but he's not.
Hacksaw's a big dude.
But the picture shows him with an animal. And I don't know how that makes sense with plant biology. And
It's Hacksaw Jim
animal.
Duggan. Nothing
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
Nothing
All right.
has to make
All
sense.
right. He was also in one of the worst movies ever that you got me to watch and then you never watched.
I didn't watch it.
It was
need to
so
go back.
bad.
I need to find it.
It
I
was
need to
so,
watch it.
what was it? Wrestlers versus
Wrestlers
Zombies?
versus Zombies.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I don't understand how you didn't want to hand it 1,000 Emmys or whatever movies get nowadays.
I would have got up and walked out of my living room. It was bad.
All right, we got a bunch more stuff I want to get into here on the radio broadcast today. Let's talk Team USA Olympic basketball after they dominate Serbia last night. They get that dub, which is, what they had to do. I thought that last night would be the second biggest challenge, and I thought Aussie.
I'm not doing it.
You're boring.
Hey, whatever.
You go on vacation, you come back, and you're all.
I know. Speaking of which, before vacation, I had said that Kevin Durant will never play for this team. Has he played yet?
He has not. He's been sitting down 3 games with a calf strain.
He ain't playing.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. I'll tell you why he plays.
They could have gave that spot to Kawhi, but they gave it to KD, and he ain't playing.
He is going to play, and I'll tell you why he's going to play. He's going to play because what does KD care about, Lonzo?
So he's playing in the gold medal game. You're right. That's he's suddenly better at the gold medal game. He only plays for teams when he can win, championships.
I think that he is going to play earlier because I also think that, and this is what I'm excited to watch. I think Steve Kerr takes this as seriously as the boys do. Like, I think this matters to Steve Kerr. I think carrying that flag matters to Steve Kerr, which is why I also think, like, you're seeing mixed up starting lineups right now. You're seeing this team kind of experiment with different looks, different vibes, different feels. And I think it is because Steve Kerr genuinely wants the best 5 to start that he can find. And I think he's figuring that out, which is why LeBron, Stephon, and Joel have started every game so far, because you got to start Steph at the 1. I genuinely, even if I was trying to find one, you don't have a better 1 on this team. I love Drew Holiday. He's not a better 1. I love D Book. He's more of a shooting guard. I love Derek White, but he's my defensive specialist along with Drew Holiday. You don't have a better 1. So let's jump to the 2 spot. You are, in this lineup, running Drew Holiday at the 2. Love Drew. Give me some defensive presence in the starting 5. I want a starting 5 that can go up against Aussie.
Still not. I mean, you saw me turn my back. I mean,
I know. I was hoping I'd catch you in like a gut instinct.
Maybe I'll
oi,
go,
oi, oi.
Oh, oui.
France. Leaves me hanging. All right, so I like putting some clamps out there with Drew Holiday. I'm going to tell you right now, that's Anthony Edwards' spot. I'm moving Jason Tatum to the 2, asking him to be a shooting guard. Ant-Man 3, LeBron 4, Joel 5. Joel is the only guy that I'm like, do I really want to start Joel Embiid? 2 of 8 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 2, 0 of 3 from 3. He had 8 points. Played 16 minutes, ended up with 3 assists, did have 8 boards. But so did Bam Adebayo coming off the bench, right? I think you got to start Steph. I think you got to start Braun. Joel's the only one I have a question about of the 3 that have played every game so far. Anthony Davis has been really good so far in this run-up, man. Only had 7 points. But he had 6 blocks, including 3 in a 2-minute span while Serbia was trying to get something going. Like Anthony Davis, I bet LeBron's sitting in the locker room after this game against Serbia like, bro. Now? Where was that a month and a half ago, AD?
Well, I think Serbia is sandbagging. They're going to be much better competition when the games count.
In fairness, they did not have Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, but the other one from down in Miami. Jovic is out. He's got an injury. They rested Bogdan Bogdanovic last night as well, who is their second best player. He sat as well. So really, all Serbia had was Jokic. And so that we're clear, Serbia is not the threat to me. Jokic can go score 50 against the U.S., and Serbia is still not the threat. The threat is France. The threat is Australia. The threat is Canada. And Australia gave you everything you wanted and a little bit extra on Monday, right? And Australia's running 5 across the starting 5. Mario said this yesterday when he joined us on the show. He said, everybody's leaning on Australia and going, man, this Australian team has 5 NBA players on it. Yeah, well, Team USA's got 12. Everyone is one for Team USA. There is no reason to lose. And I said this yesterday. So fair or unfair, anything less than a gold medal for Team USA is a catastrophic failure.
Oh, absolutely is catastrophic. What one year that happened, right? Was it the bronze or the silver? I can't remember. And I think when Shaq on that team, and I think LeBron might have been on that team too. I cannot remember who was on the team, but that was embarrassing. Absolutely was. You cannot have that happen again.
I don't disagree. I would also like to point out that when it comes to the Olympics, we won the bronze in 2004. Since 2004. By the way, we won the gold in 2000. And then we've won the gold every Olympic Games since then, right? And I do remember that because in 2004, I think it was my first year of college, and the sports landscape around America was going crazy. They're like, yo, what the hell is this, right? Like, not gold. And I think that was a year, great one, that the conversation of the rest of the world is catching up to us really kind of started to kick off. Well, here we are. I'm real bad at math, but that was 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, and we're still the dominant team. Here was that team, in case you couldn't bring it up. Larry Brown was the coach. I remember Larry Brown's story that I'll tell you in a minute. On that team, Allen Iverson, Stephon Marbury, Dwayne Wade, Carlos Boozer, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Emeka Okafor, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Tim Duncan, Lamar Odom, and Richard Jefferson.
So probably maybe a fourth of the team were the biggest superstars in the game at that time.
Allen Iverson certainly was. He was only 29 at that point. Starberry was a dude at that point. He was only 27. Probably not the 25, 24-year-old version of himself, but still a dude.
But still, I mean, you compare that team to this team or other teams.
This team should sweep a 4-game series.
Yeah.
Should sweep it. Boozer, okay. Carmelo actually was pretty good in that Olympics, if I recall correctly. Like Carmelo, he cared in that Olympics. LeBron James was what? He was 30? No, 20? What? Something in that point in time? No, LeBron was 19. Yeah, so it was almost 20. 19. Emeka Okafor, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire. Tim Duncan was 28. Lamar and Richard Jefferson were 24. This year's team should sweep that team 4-0. Maybe it's a gentleman's sweep 4-1. Point here is, after the failure, because we won the bronze in 2004, and then there was the FIBA championship 2 years later in 2006. And it was like, okay, we got to be back on the right track, right? Like we got to, and we weren't. We won bronze in that too. And that's FIBA. That's not even the Olympics. That's FIBA. And we didn't get it there either. And I think that was around the time that the conversation started. Oh, the rest of the world is catching up with us. The rest of the world is on its way to being as good as we are. Here we are 2 decades later, and that's not the case. However, Australia's still pretty good. Canada's pretty good. France has got Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama playing underneath the rim. No one should be able to get a shot up inside of 14 feet of the basket with Gobert and Victor. Victor Wembanyama can block your shot from a city block away. He's so damn lanky. You still got to win these games. What I think is interesting is because of the quality of and the build of the lineups, of Australia, France, and Canada are, I think, our three biggest. I think it's fair to say there are three biggest gold medal threats. In fact, let me go pull the odds right now just because I'm curious. The Olympic medals right now, yeah. Team USA is minus 500. Canada is, as of yesterday, Canada is 11-1. France is 12-1. Serbia 16. Greece with Giannis is 20-1. Germany is 30-1. Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, they're 40-1. Spain 50, Brazil 100-1, Puerto Rico. My man GTA down there, Jose Alvarado down there. Puerto Rico 300-1, South Sudan 400-1, and Japan 500-1. So we're not just the favorites. We're the favorites by so much it doesn't make sense to bet on it. That's how much of the favorites we are. But if you don't think that a team like Canada, keep in mind, all it takes is one bad semifinal game, and that whole thing goes out the window. One bad quarterfinals game, and that thing goes out the window. If you don't think whoever you get, Canada, France, Australia, Serbia, behind Nikola Jokic, which will be better in the Olympics. They'll get Jovic back. They'll get Bogdan back. Like, they'll be a better team. If you don't think that those teams will consider beating Team USA the same caliber win as winning the gold medal, there's not room to take a game off in this tournament. The group stage or medal round. There's not a game that you can take a day off in this tournament. And that's my biggest fear, right? My biggest fear is this team, which should, honestly, this Olympic team should not lose to any Olympic team with maybe, I wouldn't even say they lose to the dream team, right? I don't think they lose to the dream team. I think they're that talented.
All right. I don't know if I go that far, but I will say this. I don't believe LeBron would let them lose because he's the only guy on the team, right, that was there when they didn't win the gold. So yes. I think and we know he can still do this, if necessary, he will get in the game and just take over the game. So that doesn't happen again.
I completely agree. And you can see that right now. Like after the Serbia game, after every game so far, Canada, Australia, and Serbia, LeBron calls the boys to center and he just talks to them. And you can see like they're locked in with what he has to say. I did appreciate it after the Australia game. Kevin Durant came over to get in the huddle and LeBron walked out of the huddle, walked over to Durant and was like, go make a shot because you didn't play in this game. And he made Kevin Durant grab a ball, go shoot and make a three before he would allow him in the team huddle. And they all kind of laughed about it afterwards. But at the same time, it was kind of like that, dude, you're not playing. You're not helping. So you're not part of this victory celebration right now. If you want in, go down there and put up a shot in front of everybody and let them see it. Then you can get in. There is, and I don't care if you dislike
they have burner phones in the country that they were in. Were they in Abu Dhabi or something?
They're in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
They have phones that will probably send burner tweets for you, right? I think that kind of, and I might be overreading into it because I love Olympic basketball. It is to me, it's my favorite thing about the Summer Olympics. I may or may not be overreading into it, but like there's something about the LeBron that we are seeing right now that makes me feel like, Lonzo, this team gives a darn. This isn't a team that's taking a free vacation to bring their family over to Paris and enjoy the nightlife. Feels like this team actually cares, and anything less than a gold medal will be a disband everything. I'm more mad about this than I am Greg Berhalter level of catastrophic failure.
There are some older guys on this team, and I think a lot of them know this is their last one.
Oh, yeah.
And so they don't want to go out not winning a gold.
Yeah.
So it definitely does seem to matter to them.
Yep. I agree. LeBron's been a gold medalist at, I believe, every Olympics. Has he missed one? I don't know if he's missed one yet.
Well, not everyone. The one that they didn't win, he was on that team.
Everyone since then.
Yes.
I think he's been at and won a gold. Yeah. I don't think Bron, who cares about the legacy? I don't think, let's see, he won the, no, he did not play in the played in 2008, played in 2012.
He might have been hurt on one of those.
Yeah. So he didn't play in 2016 or 2020. So this is his last one. The 2020 one's excusable because it was the COVID Olympics
Yeah.
and they were kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, for him, for Durant, for a lot of these guys, this is the legacy games that they end their foundation on. I don't think they're coming home with anything less than gold. And if they do, it's a failure. It's a failure. You know what's a guaranteed success? Lonzo reading a sports flash.
Well, at least 95% guaranteed. Could the college football playoffs expand further than 12 teams? According to CFP leaders, the answer is yes, but it won't happen before the first year of the 12-team playoff. CFP Executive Director Rich Clark said at SEC Media Days yesterday, we're going to wait until after the season, after the playoff, when we ask if expansion is in the works. Yeah, I don't believe that. And good news, bad news situation for Major League Baseball. Paul Skeens, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge were able to help raise the ratings for the 2024 Midsummer Classic by a full 6%, but it remains the second lowest viewed All-Star game ever. The Home Run Derby was down 11% viewership, though both events were opposite the Republican National Convention. A lot of people watch that. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire.
All right, guys, we're going to step away for just a minute. Stay right there for us. We'll be right back. The third hour. The third hour of the Rob Brown Show. Stop it goes now. It is the.
I haven't been here. I mean, you know, I'm trying to make up for lost time.
You don't have to.
Okay, I'll stop.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thank you very much. All right. We have got a lot more to cover here on the show today. We started earlier with some comments that were made by one Dabo Sweeney. There is one more comment that I wanted to get to, and I do not know if this is the one that Lonzo was having a reaction to when I was editing our audio earlier this morning.
America.
Why America?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, that is a relevant thing to play from a relevant person who apparently doesn't exist or didn't last year. But you go right ahead.
I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. Genuinely.
Well, let's play the cut.
We'll find out.
Let's play the cut
Yeah.
and see if it's the one I'm thinking of.
Let's find out. Dabo Sweeney was asked a number of times about the expanded playoffs coming up in 2024 and whether or not that changed the way that his coaching staff would operate. He responded thusly.
I don't think it changed the mindset for us as coaches. Is what I mean. You know, I think as coaches, you try to always have good perspective. I mean, it's hard to win. Maybe it changes the perspective for the fan base or something. And and we get away from if you lose a game, the world is over, and fire every player and every coach, and that you see in all over college football. It's really hard to win. You see that it's more of I think an NFL mindset. There's very few NFL teams that I think, realistically say we're probably not going to lose a game all season, but it's about making the playoffs. That's really what everybody's goal is. And I think that is what will change gradually within the psyche of college football as it expands, and probably will expand more. Is it's going to become all about the playoffs, which is fine. But I think there's probably unintended consequences for that too, just like everything in that, probably as we see guys opting out of bowl games and things like that, you'll probably see some guys, if you're 4-4 and probably out of the playoffs, probably see some guys head off to Arizona and train. It's probably an unintended consequence. You'll probably see some situations where, like you see in the NFL, I mean, the Ravens are in the playoffs. They got it locked up, right? They got the bye or whatever. And well, they got one more game that really means nothing, right? Because it's all about the playoffs. So do you play Lamar in that game? And that's probably an unintended consequence in college, from a tradition standpoint is, maybe you're 11-0 and you got that rivalry game, but, you play your biggest foe next week in the conference championship. And if you win that game, you're going to get a bye, so those are things that'll probably decisions you'll see play out all throughout college football.
By the way, you didn't play the clip that I was thinking of, so that is no longer relevant. The clip, everything he said there, I agree with pretty much. But the clip that you were recording, or maybe I just heard it when you were recording, he said Georgia has been the best team in college football the last 3 years, and that's not true.
We're going to come back to that because I do have that clip. We'll come back to that in a minute. But I want to home in on
every scenario that he put out there is all probably going to play out.
Here's the thing.
This year and in the future.
Here's the thing. I absolutely agree. Entirely that is all going to happen. And I'm also going to tell you that if you are one of the people that has been going, college football feels too NFL-y now, right? It's too NFL-y. I can't watch. It's not the same. It's not my old college football anymore. It's too NFL-y. This is the best thing you got because Dabo's spot on, right? Dabo is spot on. In fact, the only advantage from the NFL to college football that you have if you're the NFL is if you're on a team that comes out of the gate 2-4, right, in the NFL, you can't leave and go train elsewhere to get ready for the next level, you're at the next level. There's no next level. You can't go anywhere. If you're at the college level, there's a next level, big next level. But I would also point out that every year we have a National Football League draft. And every year that National Football League draft consists of 7 rounds at 32 picks a spot. There are 224-ish with compensatory picks and all that. But every year around 224 selections made in the NFL draft. The number of guys that are going to go into the NFL draft, get drafted, and have a spot on a team is very small. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and say, and this is the same thing I've talked about guys who sit out bowl games, same thing that I'm going to talk about guys that, don't whatever, care about the Gator Bowl or whatever. The number of dudes that applies to is not a catastrophic number. It's just not. Now, I think a more prevalent point and a more realistic point to lean on is what he talked about there at the end. And I kind of laid this up yesterday. But let's say, great one, that this year we got a little Thanksgiving dinner, right? This year is our turn to go down to Florida for Thanksgiving. I'll be down in the FLA, and we're all going to sit down together on a Thursday night. We're going to hammer down that turkey. All right, you're going to listen to your uncle give his annual lecture on how he knows that it's tryptophan that makes you sleepy after turkey because he read it in a magazine one time, and it's just like the one thing he knows. And then we're all going to go to sleep.
Are you that uncle?
Absolutely.
Okay, I was just
absolutely.
checking.
I am watching myself in real time morph into every cousin's favorite drunkle at Thanksgiving, and I don't care anymore. So then we're going to wake up on Saturday, and we're going to look, and we're going to go, rivalry weekend is here. Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, South Carolina, Florida, Florida State, Iron Bowl. It's all coming up today. Can't wait. And then there's going to be a game, and let's say it's Clemson, South Carolina. Let's say, great one, that Cade Klubnik figures it out, and the Clemson Tigers enter their 12th regular season game at 11-0. And let's say lining up against them entering this game are the 6-win Gamecocks. Let's say they're 6-5 coming into that. All right. Hell, let's make it more interesting. Let's say they're 5-5. They got to win this game to go to a bowl game. Right. And
how is that interesting? And plus, it's like you're missing a game in there, aren't you?
Let's say they're 5-6. Coming into this game, they've got to beat Clemson to be bowl eligible. Because I already said this week, not bowl eligible, I've got to be hypercritical of friend of the show, Shane Beamer, next year. I just have to. All right, 5 wins. There are 4 guaranteed wins on the South Carolina schedule this year. If you can't get me 6, it's a failure. Okay, and I'm happy to say that on the record now. So Clemson comes in at 11-0. They've already locked up their spot in the ACC championship game. On top of that, they know who their competition is. Waiting for them over on the other side are the 10-1 Florida State Seminoles. All right? So they're on both sides. South Carolina comes into this game. All they can do is earn a bowl berth. But that is the definition of, let's say Shane Beamer says it's the definition of success or failure this year is a bowl game. If you're Dabo Swinney, as a matter of practicality, I'd sit everybody for that game, right? I'd sit everybody for that game. Why? Because I want my team rested and 100% to play FSU in the ACC title game. Not because FSU is a more important game. It's not. Lonzo, what's the objective for a Power 5 school? What's the objective of a football season?
So you want to make the playoff and you want to win the championship. No, I agree.
Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of the Clemson fans.
Listen,
if he did that, there would be, I'm not going to say there'd be riots, but there would be very angry social media posts.
Lot of golf carts going up and down the hills that night protesting.
A lot of guys with Clemson as the first part of their name on stream saying some really mean things.
Would they, great one? Would they say the same thing a week and a half later, should Clemson enter rested, fully healthy, the ACC title game, beat Florida State, earn the first round bye, get into the playoffs, not have to play a first round game, and get to play a bottom tier second round matchup in the playoffs, making that where they only got to win 3 games, not 4, to win a natty? I got to think the South Carolina loss at that point is a distant who gives a damn memory.
Yeah, you would. You'd be wrong. You'd be really wrong. Because why couldn't they do both? Why couldn't they win against South Carolina and then do well in the playoff?
As Dabo pointed out, and he absolutely laid it out. I'll read it in a minute. He absolutely laid it out. He said, "Hey, let's talk about this. It's week 17 in the National Football League. Week 17 matchup. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a classic rivalry. That's a great rivalry. We got the Chicago Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers in week 17. This is a great rivalry. It's up at Soldier Field. Hopefully the last year they played this game outside in January.
Who's the quarterback for Chicago at that point?
Caleb Williams. All right. Caleb Williams, your starting quarterback on one side. And let's say that Jordan Love ends up being the dude this year. That dude's like inside the top 10 for MVP in terms of Vegas odds. Let's say Jordan Love's the dude. And let's say that this team, the Green Bay Packers, has already clinched, let's say, the number 3 seed. Can't go higher, can't go lower. Result is meaningless. They cannot go up or down a seed. They are locked in at 3. Happened to multiple teams last year.
I'm sure there's a guy named Steve who really enjoys your scenario right now.
I didn't pick them for that reason, but I'm fair with it. So let's say the Green Bay Packers can't go up or down. On the flip side, the Chicago Bears find themselves in a spot where they can go. Let's say they could become a wild card team if they beat Green Bay. If you're the Packers, you got a decision to make. Your decision to make at this point is, do we go out there and bust our hump to win this game and keep Chicago out of the playoffs, even though if they get in, they would have to come to us? Or do we go rest our guys and not worry about it? We'll hand them the dub. Who the hell cares? It's the regular season. We got to get rested and healthy because we play a playoff game in a week. The answer should be, from a standard of logic and practicality, you do whatever is the best thing to do to get you closer to winning a championship. What happens if Dabo in that situation we brewed up a minute ago? What if Dabo says, you know what? We got to beat the Gamecocks. It's a rivalry game. It matters. It's tradition. And then he rolls him out there, and Cade Klubnik gets Jordan Travis in that game. What happens if his knee pops and goes the wrong way in that game? You're not winning a natty now. You can't, right? Because I was told last year, if you lose your starting quarterback, you not only can you not win it, you're not even allowed to play for it.
That only applied last year. It's
a 1 year rule?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to learn something.
Well, it was rule up to that point. Now it no longer exists.
Gotcha. Okay. So even though it wasn't, because 2 teams won with a backup championship quarterback, including one of yours.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's, I mean,
right.
Those guys could have started on in the other team. Florida State didn't have that.
The hell they did not. I'm not going down this path.
How good
with
was
you
the
again.
backup then? I don't remember.
Good enough. They were still undefeated and won the conference.
Yeah. How'd they do in the playoff?
I'm not going back to shut up. That's rude, sir. That's rude. That's unnecessary. And that is rude is what that is.
You're such an a-hole.
I really don't know if that's allowed.
I listened to one of the national hosts say it like 3 times in a segment yesterday.
but it's I believe that has to do with area and what's acceptable in area. You know, anyway.
Get over it, prudes. All right. Anyway, what if that's the play, right? What if the play is Cade gets Jordan Travis, and now you can't win a playoff game. Now you can't win. You don't have that backup, right? Paul Tyson's not coming in to save you at that point. So from a standard of what matters the most, right? If you say playing the boys in the South Carolina game in this scenario cooked up matters more, then what you are saying is beating South Carolina is more important than winning a national championship. By definition, that is what you are saying, right? Beating the Gamecocks matters more than winning a trophy. In which case, I don't want to hear anymore how you care about making the playoffs and the championships, because it's not a priority for you, or it's not the priority, although you can have more than one, different conversation.
But I do agree with what's been going on in the stream right now, talking about you're saying in your scenario, Clemson is undefeated. And when's the last time they did that?
Who cares? Who cares? What does it matter?
Scenario. Okay.
Who cares, right? I don't care.
So they will have beaten Florida State in
beat
that
Florida State.
scenario?
Let's say they beat it. They're 11-0.
Okay.
And they got a chance to beat South Carolina and pull off the perfect regular
Who's
season.
the quarterback
Who
in
cares?
this scenario?
Cade Klubnik.
Okay.
Out there cooking, right?
Uh-huh.
Everything Garrett Riley and Dabo said this past Tuesday about Cade Klubnik comes true. My man's an All-American. He's going to New York for the Heisman celebration. All right. In the Lonzo hates hypotheticals. He hates hypotheticals.
No, here's the thing. If you sit, I think there's a lot of foreshadowing going on with what Dabo said. I think he's throwing out a trial balloon to see how people react to what he said.
A trial balloon?
I think I'm using it correctly. You throw things out there to see how a crowd reacts. So you throw that out there to see how the fan base reacts to his hypotheticals and see if they get upset about it. So then when it comes down to it, if he has the opportunity, he goes, no, the crowd will riot if I do this. I'm not going to do it. I already know what the reaction is going to be. I threw this out there before the season started. They pretty much told me no, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to play all my players, and we're going to try and probably will beat our rival.
So that happens, and then Cade goes down.
Don't make me question. I know the trial balloon thing was right.
No, you're right. I've never heard that term before. I'm the idiot in this case.
You haven't?
I'm
Okay.
a dumb. I'm not. Or if I have, it didn't stick out.
Remember
to me.
where my other job is.
Fair enough. So if that happens, and then Cade goes down, or your receiver goes down, or Phil Maffa goes down in that game, and he's unavailable for the playoffs, don't you look at it then and go, was this worth it?
Players get hurt.
I don't disagree.
That's a part of it.
Players get hurt
they
if they're playing.
If they're playing. You're right. You're right.
So don't play them.
So this is the same thing. Well, he got hurt in preseason. You know what? If he doesn't get hurt in the game against South Carolina, but he does get hurt in the next game in the playoffs, and he loses the playoff, he still got hurt.
Correct. But if you get him hurt in South Carolina, he can't get hurt in the playoff game, which means because he's not playing in the playoff game. What I'm saying is,
and we can never have a triumphant video if we don't have Eddie Van Halen playing guitar on the video.
listen, I understand those of you that go, next man up. But y'all all said, every one of you
you're
said.
good at recruiting, that's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. But except for Florida State, right? Sorry, what I meant was them. Next man up doesn't apply to FSU. Put that aside for a minute. Yes, I'm still bitter. The point here is, in this world, Dabo's absolutely right. Playing your players in a rivalry game in which you're 11-0, in which you know your ACC title game or SEC or Big Ten title game is locked in, knowing that if you win that game, you got to bye. Practicality says you don't play your starters in that game. Emotion says you do. Sentimentality says you play them in that game. NFL isn't folded yet, and they do it all the time. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live read. We're coming back. Stay right there, and then we will go through all of your stream comments. Thanks.
Nice to the people who are there.
Well, hang on one second, guys.
They will.
We'll see.
New Life. Next break. Look at that. It's already almost 8:30.
It is. All right, we've gotten a lot of comments from y'all on the stream and on the text line. Let's get to some of them. Texter said, do you guys realize since you announced that AEW was coming in 13 days that you have only mentioned AEW and Fight Club once, maybe twice? Yeah. We are going to, I'm sure, today. No, we will next week. And I will also tell you that we will have either Chris Statlander or Dax Harwood, maybe both on the show before AEW. And I will also tell you that we will likely have at least one other AEW superstar on the show before we get there.
I'm getting from the text, though, that we shouldn't have those guests because obviously we don't talk enough AEW. So that why would we have those guests on? I mean, I'm just saying,
Texter points out to me that it was Brett Favre that was in Something About Mary, not Dan Marino. Yes, it was. I got that screwed up. Dan Marino, of course, in the legendary movie Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Which came out like 40 years ago.
Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel. Don't ruin it for me. Texter said, anybody thinking about getting on 85 South this morning, don't. It's bad. It just took my wife over an hour to go. It usually takes half an hour. Okay, well, careful on 85 South if you got to go that direction. Texter said, glad Zoe is well rested. Rob had to argue and debate himself the last few days, and it's just not the same. I know. I said that when Zoe wasn't here. All right.
I appreciate the love. I do.
Texter said, John Dog texted the show and said, how did FSU do against Georgia? Again, if you watched that game and you thought that was FSU, you don't know ball. Congrats on your win to Georgia. Excellent job. You guys brought your A game. FSU brought their JV squad because they didn't care. It was a point. It was a point to be made. If you didn't get that, that's on you, not anybody else. But thanks for the text, John Dog. Great to have you as a listener. We appreciate it. And that is sincere.
Dude, I love you. I don't know what he's doing. That's kind of mean.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
Keegan said, hey, Texter, you let Bill Brooks do the traffic.
With style, by the way.
Shane said, how'd they do in the playoffs? Elite level troll job, Lonzo. Every troll job Lonzo does is elite level. Shane says it doesn't matter. Jordan Love is already part owner of the Bears. Yeah, I think he inherited it from Aaron Rodgers, didn't he?
He did. It's kind of a nepo thing, but he's, yeah, for sure.
Rob is more delusional that Clemson will be 11-0 going into that game. The not best team in the country is going to curb stomp them in week 1. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that great. That line, by the way, has grown to Georgia. I think it's at -13 now.
And Georgia right now, I think, is ranked number 1, aren't they? I think
They are, as a matter
I
of
think they
fact.
are considered the best team in the country as far as paper goes.
All right. Well, here, I'll just give you, we got time. This is the reason that this was brought up. Dabo talked about opening against the Dogs.
You win it, it doesn't tell you much either. You still got to go win the next game. You know, I think that's just honestly the way what it is. I mean, I just don't look at it that way. I think it's a huge game. I mean, this is the best team in the country to me the last 3 years in totality in Georgia. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, you're coming right out of the gate playing a team like that. Yeah, you find out where you are in that moment for sure, but you can't let that moment define the rest of the season. Even if you win it, if that's all about that, well, you get beat against App the next week quick. And if it doesn't go your way and you just wallow around in that, then hey, it's gonna beat you 2 more times.
Yeah, first of all, the in totality to cover his mistake was pretty smooth, but it's not.
What mistake?
He's the best team in college football the last 3 years. No, I think Michigan begs to differ. National champion last year, undefeated, if I recall. That would be the best team in football. And it hurts for me to say every single thing I just said, but they were better than Georgia last year. Dude, don't. Come on. They were better than Georgia last year. Now, they cheated to get there, but still, they got there.
If we lined up Georgia and Michigan in a best-of-7 last year, Georgia wins at 4-3.
No. Michigan
Absolutely
wins. Michigan probably Georgia might win 1. Michigan wins all of them. They were the best
You're
team.
high.
They were
You're
the best
high.
I've never been. They are the best team in college football last year. Dabo should be glad.
Georgia wins 1 out of 7.
Now I have. It usually would be a game where I wouldn't know who to root for, but I hope Clemson plays Michigan this year in the playoff. Because that would mean Clemson is good enough to make a playoff, which I'm still not sure about. But if they did and they played Michigan in the playoff, Michigan will destroy them for what he just said. Because he said Georgia is the best team the last 3 years, and they're not.
Okay, so they are.
They won 3 years in a row then. They won.
No, but they won 2 out of the 3. Michigan won 1 out of the 3, which means that over the span of 3 years, Georgia was better.
He should have said the last 2. He should have said 2 out of the last 3 years that he was better. No. Listen, this is how college football works. You take little things like this and you use it for your season. So if Michigan does play Clemson in the playoff, Clemson will get destroyed because of what he just said.
So 2 things. Number 1, Michigan's losing 3 games this year. Okay. They're losing 2 in the regular season and they're losing 1 in the playoff. They will play 1 and lose 1 in the playoff. They lost everything that made them good last year. Their offensive line, Blake Corum.
By the way, people on the stream not really listen to what I'm saying. Georgia is number 1. They're ranked number 1 this year. Georgia should go undefeated. Will they win a national championship? We'll see. This is the first year of an extended playoff. We don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. That's what makes it exciting. But as far as the last 3 years, they were not the best team in football all 3 years because they did not win a championship. Yes.
Do you understand that
he threw out the in totality to cover his mistake. It didn't work. I heard it. He messed up. Michigan heard it. And it's going to be he better hope he doesn't play him in the playoffs.
That's not bulletin board material to me.
By the way, I don't think either team's making a playoff, so it doesn't matter. But if they did.
So I am going to agree with Dabo that over the last 3 years in totality, Georgia was the best football team in totality.
So there are people out there who actually believe. You push past your fandom down in there to where reality exists. It's in there somewhere because you have to exist in reality at points when you go to work and stuff. At least I hope so. You actually believe Clemson's going to beat Georgia. You actually believe. I'm talking to listeners. I'm not talking to you.
Oh.
I'm talking to listeners. You actually believe Clemson's going 0-1, and he also disrespected App State, and you don't want to do that.
How do you disrespect?
You don't want to do that. There's a lot of disrespect going around. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Okay, I disagree. Here's what I took away from that.
Wait a minute, you disagree with something I said?
Shocking, I know.
Wow.
Let me. Here's what I took away from that. I actually think it's a fine take. I think Georgia's the best team in the country again this year. I think that Georgia is absolutely, over the past 3 years, the best program over the past 3 years in the country. I'm good with that. And I absolutely think he's got a very valid point. Clemson can still make the playoff if they lose to Georgia in week 1, even if they get rushed.
You're right. They need to be, but you got to win the ACC, because we have had this discussion. We're not so sure number 2 in the ACC makes the playoff. So you have to win the ACC.
I don't necessarily think that is true. I think you can come in second to the ACC and sneak into the playoffs in like the 12 spot, the 11-12 spot. I think you can still get in. I think you will need a lot of help from the outside. And I think that you cannot lose more than one regular season game in the ACC title.
Let me do a Rob Brown question here. If you had a paycheck to bet on this game right now, would you bet that Clemson could beat Georgia?
No. I never said they would. I not only have I never said they would, if I had a paycheck on this game, not only am I putting it on Georgia, I'm putting it on Georgia to cover.
So that makes you a Clemson hater too, just like me. You're on that hating train with me. I'm the conductor, and you're whatever the guy who sits next to the conductor.
Engineer.
Okay. Well, I knew you would know because
I think I could be wrong.
I mean, that works. Yes.
But no, that is not Clemson disrespect. That is Georgia respect. That is, Georgia's that good this year. Georgia's going to be a monster again this year. So here's the thought that I have. Clemson can lose that game. And theoretically lose the ACC title game and end the year at, would that make them 11-2? They could make the playoff at 11-2 and not an ACC title game. I think you're sneaking in probably at 10. 11, 12, somewhere in that range. You can still go, even if you don't win the ACC. I'm not super worried about it. Am I worried about the game? Yes. It is a game that I want to see Clemson coming out and going full throttle out of the gate. Do I think they're going to win? No, absolutely not. I don't think you're going to win that game. I just think Georgia's better than you, and I think it is going to take 2 or 3 games for Cade Klubnik in that offense to really, really start to click. So I don't think they're winning that game, but I didn't get any disrespect out of this from Dabo at all. What I got was, what we're not going to do is if we come out, and I saw a South Carolina fan yesterday, oh, this is just Dabo making an early excuse for losing that game. Yeah, he's up against a juggernaut with a team that's got a lot of youth offensively on it. Of course he is, right? Who cares? My question mark is, if they get pounded, what do they look like in week 2 against App? Are they able to backseat that loss real quick? That's going to tell you whether Clemson's pointed in the right direction or not. Rashad Beard, when we come back here in just a minute to talk Carolina football on the Fan Upstate.
Be live.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back with Rashad after this. Stay right there. we're talking about, for those of you that are not gamers, Call of Duty just added Rhea Ripley, Rey Mysterio, and Cody Rhodes to the Battlefield character sheet, so you can play as those characters. And so when you kill somebody, you have the option of going up to them when they're on the ground after you down them with bullets, going up to them and doing a finisher. And all the characters in the game have different finishers. Well, if you do a finisher with the wrestlers, they will hit their wrestling finisher on the character that you're killing. So Cody Rhodes will hit him with a Crossroads. Rhea will hit him with a Riptide. And I have already downloaded the characters.
How's Rey Mysterio going to do a 619 without a?
Apparently they're and this is one thing I don't like about the game, despite I love having wrestlers and because Homelander's in it as well. You can play as Homelander from The Boys. Whenever you do one of those, it animates it in. So like if you hit that in the game, it changes the screen and it puts them in a wrestling ring. So you hit the move in a wrestling ring and then you go back to the spot in the game that you're in. All right, efforting Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Have not heard from Shad, so hoping we'll get him in here in a minute or two. If not, we'll get him rescheduled for tomorrow's show if we can. This is very interesting. I have not watched the most recent odds of most recent episode of Hard Knocks yet. I have watched it. I've gotten the first 2 episodes down. I've not watched episode 3. I don't know if we're on episode 3 or 4 yet, but here's what I read. There was a little snippet in the most recent episode, and going all the way back to episode 1, they've kind of been telling the saga of how Brian Burns ended up leaving Carolina to go up to be a New York Giants. Apparently in the last episode of this show, there is a segment in it where the GM of the Giants, Joe Shine, was having a conversation with new president of football operations, Dan Morgan. And in the clip, which I'm not going to play because I just found it and haven't edited it, and Hard Knocks has zero problems allowing a lot of to not be on the show. But they show what they say were Joe Shine's final negotiations to seal the trade for Brian Burns. The Panthers apparently had a loose agreement with the Giants and then tried to get a additional 7th round pick thrown in there. And this is interesting. Shine is heard on the phone saying, "Oh my God, what are we doing, Dan? Why do we need to add a 7th, Dan? Like, come on, you and I are going to be doing this for a long time, hopefully, and like, we got to have allies. I don't want to throw in a 7th. Like, I need players too, Dan. I mean, we're picking 6. You guys would be picking 1. Like, let's just do what we said on the last one. I mean, that works out. We met you in the middle with some of your demands." The ending of the clip shows Shine and Morgan coming to an agreement on the deal, with the former requesting to have Burns' phone number so he could reach out to them. Of course, New York would then go on to send Carolina a 2024 second round, a 2025 fifth rounder, and a 2024 fifth round swap. The Giants then inked Brian Burns on a 5-year, $150 million contract. And the thought that I had there ultimately was, is this a call that has been manufactured and hyped up for the cameras, right? Or did Joe Shine really convince Dan Morgan that that extra 7th round pick wasn't worth making the deal? Or Was Brian Burns just genuinely done? Was Brian Burns just so far gone at that point that Dan Morgan could ask for a little more, but basically was going to have to take whatever he could get for Brian Burns at that spot? It felt to me like Joe Shine in this clip was kind of have you seen, it's a very out there episode, but there's an episode where Eric Cartman in South Park is running a business and they show him on phones negotiating with clients, and he's like, hey man, you really got me by the here, bud. You're busting my here, dude. And he just kind of goes off and on as he's negotiating. That's kind of what Joe Shine sounded like here, right? He's just like, Dan Morgan, you got me by the boys here, bud. You're really busting my boys up here. What do you say we just do what we agreed to and move on? And Dan Morgan in one phone call was like, yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm good with that. That's what we're going to do here. This Hard Knocks season, which is focused on the New York Football Giants, has been interesting for me as somebody who covers the Panthers, Lonzo, because, and again, it's about the Giants, so like they're not under any obligation to do the opposite. But this entire season, from episode 1, where Joe Shine meets Dave Canales on the field at, I think the Senior Bowl. They don't really paint the Panthers in a great light, right? It kind of makes them look like they are not super confident in themselves. The clip with Canales in episode 1 is one where he's talking with Joe Shine and he's talking about like, hey, do you want to give me 2 first rounders for Brian Burns? And Joe Shine's like, no, I don't. Dave Canales is like, do you want to give me 1 first rounder and something else? And Joe Shine goes, no, I don't. And I know that that's just kind of how negotiations work, right? We've all, a lot of us have had to negotiate a contract in the past. And you go in asking for way more than you're willing to accept. And you know that when the other person asks for way more than they're willing to accept, you tell them that, no, that's ridiculous. I don't accept that. Let's start walking towards each other. That's negotiations. I get it. But I have spent this offseason, since the announcement of the departure of Scott Fitterer, the hiring of Dan Morgan, and the hiring of Dave Canales, and I say this with sincerity, I more than I was when Frank Reich got hired, way more than I was when Matt Rule got hired. This offseason is genuinely the most optimistic I've been about this football team since Cam left, honestly. Like, this is the most excited, I won't say excited, most optimistic I've been about this football team since Cam Newton left. Not when he came back, but since he left. And that has a lot to do with Dave Canales. It has a lot to do with Dan Morgan, both guys that I have high expectations for. But in these episodes of Hard Knocks, and again, it's reality TV, okay? So you got to take everything that happens with a big old fat grain of salt. I acknowledge that. But Zoe, I will say the Panthers don't exactly come out of this thing looking like they're, being steered by Dan Morgan, which our whole take the whole time has been Dan Morgan really strikes me as a guy that I would not want to have to go toe-to-toe with in any capacity, but it doesn't feel that way with this show.
So I don't, as the Panthers are my favorite NFC team. I have no idea what to think about this season. I still am, I want to be optimistic. I don't know if I should be. I don't know if we're going to get more of the same. I don't know anything at all. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if you go into a season as a fan with expectations a certain way, they're either going to be mad exceeded or usually, unfortunately, in the Panthers case, you're going to be disappointed. I have nothing. So I'm just waiting to see that first game, to see what happens, to see if Bryce Young's feet got fixed, to see if that offensive line will give him protection, see if any of these receivers can catch, other than Xavier Legette, because we know he can. To see how the defense plays. There's just so many things that are big question marks that I can't just go, okay, here's what I think is going to happen this year. I just don't know. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, I get it. This is kind of one of those spots where, as a radio dude, our job is to say, I think this is what's coming down the pipe. Like, I think this is where it could go. This is how I could see it going, whatever. But I've also said many times, keep in mind that when you listen to anybody do radio, that's what they're doing.
We
right?
would normally get to go over to camp and check it out for ourselves, but we can't anymore. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, would you look at that? Coming up in August, the Carolina Panthers are having their fan day down at Clemson. That is going to be on August 1st. So a couple of weeks from now.
Wait, so I can see the team, Rob?
Not only can you, but from 3 to 7 that day, Wire to Wire will be with Diesel and Rob Brown live from Memorial Stadium down in Clemson, South Carolina. We will be doing Wire to Wire live from Panther Camp that afternoon.
A positive guy for the Panthers and Diesel.
That's actually accurate.
I'm well aware.
That's actually very accurate. I am high.
Are you?
Yeah. I
what
realized.
Time was, let's see.
Yep.
53.
Yep.
Yep, I got that. Listen.
I'm gonna regret that, bro. I regret that immensely and immediately, bro. I am very excited about the Carolina Panthers season. I like it. I like the moves of personnel in the front office. Dave Canellis has got me way jacked up about what he can do for my dog BY. I am very excited about this season. But these two episodes that have featured a good amount of interaction between the Giants, the subject, and the Panthers have not made the Panthers look confident, good, secure in their process like I hope they are. And again, that to me, that's the whole thing. That's the big thing. This team needs a direction, an identity, a focus, a strategy. And I thought adding Dan Morgan is that intensity, and Canales is that focus. And it doesn't really feel between those two cameos on Hard Knocks. I don't get that vibe that I had been getting leading up to it. We'll find out. Now, a guy with tons of intensity and focus and drive, and a guy that is not high, Lonzo with a sports flash.
I'm disappointed he didn't go with the 3 eyes because I definitely have those. Team USA, no, not eyeballs. Anyway, Team USA basketball dominated Serbia yesterday, earning a 105-79 victory over Nikola Jokic, the most impressive performance of their Olympic warm-up so far. The U.S. ended the first half on a 19-5 run with their second team and opened the second half with an 11-0 run from the Stars. Bam Adebayo had 17 points, Steph Curry had 24, and Anthony Edwards added 16. Caitlin Clark added to her WNBA Rookie of the Year argument last night when she set the WNBA record for assists in a game with 19. Previous record of 18 was set by Courtney Vandersloot in 2020, which she did twice. Clark also went 10 for 19 shooting, making her responsible for 66 of the Indiana Fever's 93 points in a losing effort. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel bring you all the fun sports. All Wire to Wire. No, all things considered, it's my first day back from vacation. I didn't think the reads were that bad, you know? A crash. normally, Shane, I let those things go. I mean, there's a lot of things he could clip from me, a lot of things I could clip from him, but I got to do that. I got to clip that. I got a very busy day ahead of me, but I got to take time out to make sure that I clip that. I don't want you guys to feel sorry for me or anything, but I got to do all my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday work today and tomorrow, as well as my Thursday and Friday work, which is a lot of work. And being back from vacation, a lot of people will come over to say hi because, you know, they're all really cool and I'm semi-popular.
Strategy and
I'm going to clip it later. I just did that because I thought it would be funny. As I just explained to the stream, there's a lot of things we both could clip each other.
Oh, for sure.
But I can't let this one.
Sometimes they stand out.
Yeah,
right?
I can't let this one
We
go.
both say things 2 or 3 times a day that it's like, you know, if I wanted to take that out of context, it'd be a great clip. But then every now and then you say one, and as soon as it leaves your mouth, you're like, oh, man.
And I know you can't blame me for this.
No, not at all.
I mean, if I didn't do it, it would
I'd clip it myself.
It would be a failure.
Yes,
and I can't
correct.
do that. Do I let the ACC promo play? Yeah, I'll do it. You know what's awesome? Next Thursday, you're going to be so screeched out from it would be Wednesday. Wednesday, you're going to be but you won't be there. You still won't be recovered by Thursday.
Probably not.
So
I will probably sing more and louder at a Creed show than I do in my own band.
ACC Karen's going to come over and ask if you're okay.
Yeah.
She's going to, are you all right? Because I couldn't hear
I
you.
have to tell you to shut up.
I couldn't hear you over there. What is going on? Are you all right?
Steven, you're just being rude today. My reads were incredible. I went professional anchor on my reads, and I nailed them.
What makes my reads so different is they're not Rob. You're welcome.
Wow.
No, because your voice is, 99.5% of the show. So when you hear my voice, it stands out. Even though in the normal crowd, it wouldn't stand out because I'm pretty quiet. But, we did have like a near incident at a rest area where this old man came up to us to tell us to don't put our money in the Coke machine because it'll take your money. And he looked like the crazy Ralph from Friday the 13th. And it was, right down to those old people who are just too skinny and everything looks really tight. It was weird. I looked at camera for a moment as if nice to know you in case, this is it. And we stopped the same rest stop on the way back, hoping the guy wouldn't be there. If he was, I would have drove down the road and went to the restroom somewhere else. He wasn't there, so we were good.
Here we go. Final hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back. Rob Brown, that's me. The Great Milonzo, that's him. We will effort on rescheduling Rashad for tomorrow on the show. We've talked a lot of Clemson football today. Tiger pal Rachel tweets the show. Rachel said, all right, boys, serious question. Do you guys not think if Cade plays decent, the Clemson defense can keep this game close? Here's the reaction. Here's the answer I gave. Clemson's a 2-touchdown dog for a reason. Okay? It is going to depend, to me, the primary matchup, the thing that makes this game, if it is close, is Clemson's defensive line and linebackers harassing Carson Beck. You've got to make Carson Beck be what everybody thinks Cade Klubnik is, right? You've got to make Carson Beck uncomfortable. You have got to attack. You've got to collapse the pocket around him. You've got to make Carson Beck make mistakes, because if Georgia doesn't make mistakes, no, you're not going to be close. You got to force them into making mistakes. The problem you're going to bump into here is, despite the fact that Clemson's defensive line and linebackers, and I do think they will be pretty good, Georgia's offensive line is going to be something else this year, man.
See, here's the thing. Can Clemson win? Absolutely they could. I mean, it's first game of the season, and Georgia lost a lot of players, didn't they?
A good amount, but they're bringing back a lot too.
Rob doesn't believe in next man up, which means they're going to be a weaker team this year, which means Clemson might have a shot.
No, that's not true. It is not that I do not believe in next man up. Yeah, that's how lines work. If you're in a line and one person at the front of the line isn't there anymore, you're now front of the line. What I mean by next man up is there's a reason the first man is the first man, not the next man. He's the best you have at that spot. And if he goes down, the quality of whatever unit we're talking about goes down.
Yeah, but
and if there's one thing you don't want, it's a low quality unit.
You do not.
You want a unit that
fully
performs.
Functional. Yes. And if the first guy leaves, then that makes the next guy the first guy. So he just automatically is better.
Then the third guy
Okay.
who becomes the next guy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Right?
All right. I think we've straightened all that out now. So does Clemson
Got to keep your unit straight.
You do. Does Clemson have a chance? Yes, they absolutely have a chance. It's unlikely, but they definitely have a chance.
I'll put it this way. They got a better chance than Missouri does. Okay. In my opinion, they got a better chance than Vanderbilt does. Absolutely. Does it mean they have a chance?
So you're comparing Clemson to
No, what I'm
to
saying
Vanderbilt.
is Clemson
I
is
know how Clemson folks think, and that's the only thing they heard.
Well, then they're
Rob
wrong.
Brown said Clemson's like Vanderbilt.
I can't be held responsible when someone decides what I mean instead of letting me tell you what I mean.
Happens to me all the time. Let me speak, Rob.
So, to me, when I look at a Georgia offensive line that is returning, Lonzo, 5 starters from last year,
Never mind.
which is
Never mind,
all
Clemson.
of them.
Never mind.
They are bringing back. So Clemson's Georgia's depth chart goes this way. They are bringing back 9 offensive starters. Robert Thomas, Dominic Lovett, and Dylan Bell at the wide receivers. Ernest Green, Dylan Fairchild, 4 offensive line starters. They will be replacing their center this year with a junior, Jared Wilson. Tate Ratledge and Xavier Truss across the offensive line. Oscar Delp is back at tight end. Obviously, Brock Bowers moved on, but Delp got a lot of time last year. Carson Beck is back, and Trevor Etienne, he's going to get an NIL fine, but not miss any playtime, because that's how punishment works that's how punishment works in Georgia. You lose NIL money, not playing time.
Well, that's how it works in the NFL too. So, I mean, and college football is the NFL. It's a business. Why not operate the way a business operates?
So that's the lineup Georgia's bringing at you. Here's the problem that you're going to bump into. The problem you're going to bump into is that the spot, to me, that matters the most if you want a shot at knocking off Georgia in week 1 in Atlanta, which, by the way, 70-30 Georgia fans in Atlanta? I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to say 70-30 Georgia fans.
I think
this is an away game for Clemson.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if it's that much, I think then Clemson believes they have a chance. If it's less, I think the fans don't think they have a chance.
That's interesting. Is that a referendum on whether Clemson fans really, truly are all in or not?
I personally believe that is. Of course, they love their team no matter what. But if you believe they're going to get their butts handed to them by Georgia, you're saving that money and going to a different place to watch, your team probably win.
That's interesting.
If you know your team's going to lose on whatever level, whatever sport, are you still going to go? I mean, or does it depend on the venue?
See, I'm a venue and memory guy, right? Like if it's I've been trying for years and I just haven't been able to pull it off. It's always at a bad time. I've been trying for years to get to a Saints at Packers game, to go see a game at Lambeau. But there's two reasons I don't. Number one, every time they play at Lambeau, it's always a weekend that I've got something to do, or it's in January, and listen very closely, that.
I was going to say, so your dream is to go to a cold weather game.
But when it's in the warm weather, all right?
Okay. It's still colder than here, so technically it's a cold game.
I'm going to a game at Lambeau if it's in like weeks 1 through 6. All right. Week 14 at Lambeau, I'm good. Thanks.
So what's your temp cutoff? So 50, you're good. It's still cold, but it's not freezing cold by the letter of the term. Anyway, so
here's my limit.
40. You still good at 40?
My limit is, where does whiskey stop making it feel better? That's my line.
Doesn't that have to do with how much you drink? I don't drink, so I don't know.
Listen, whiskey in the cold is just one of life's great experiences. All right. Like whiskey in the cold is just, it fills you with bliss and happiness.
Much like jumping out of an airplane, I'm never going to do either.
I mean, I respect it. It's your life, your decision, live it how you want. You are missing out. Whiskey in the cold is just one of the best things. All right. However, there is a point where it is so cold that the whiskey is unenjoyable after that.
Is that by person though, you think? Or is it just a cutoff for everybody?
No, it's subjective. You know how I know that? Because there were people going to Kansas City for a playoff game in temperatures that their freaking limbs were falling off. I'm out, dog.
That's commitment, right?
I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess that I'm afraid of commitment. Sorry, court. I'm out. Because if she goes,
you ain't no fan.
She goes, would you marry me in 30-degree temperatures? No. We do it inside or we elope. I'm not doing that. All right. So back to this Clemson Georgia game. I don't know if the fan population is a referendum, because the other side of that coin is Georgia. It's a referendum on Georgia fans too, and Georgia fans believe correctly that they are they are actually the favorite odds on to win the Natty this year. The odds on favorite. They're only like 3-1, right? They're 3-1. Ohio State's 3.5-1, and then you drop down to like 7.5-1 for the next team.
Yeah, that number 2 team there's probably got a pretty good chance.
Pretty good chance. Got to make it to the playoffs first.
Brand new starting quarterback, though, so who knows?
Fair enough. So, Rachel, to answer your question, do I think that Clemson has a chance? Yeah, I do. They have a chance. But I am going to say, and I know this is almost kind of cliche enough that we could probably hit the cliche alert on myself here. It's the same as the Braves panic button.
We probably could find a cliche. I don't know what it would.
They used to have one.
Did it have cliches on it?
No, it had a very cliche announcer's voice just going, "That's a cliche."
That works.
Yeah. The cliche response here is, yes, Rachel, anybody has a chance any given Saturday. That's the cliche we love in college football, right? Any given Saturday. What it will take is two things. It will take Clemson being perfect, and it will take Georgia being not anywhere close to it, right? Because I'll tell you this. I think there's enough separation in these two teams. Georgia doesn't even have to play a perfect game to win. They just got to play a pretty good game. If Georgia is just pretty good, they're good enough to beat Clemson. Clemson's got to play perfect, and Georgia's got to take a couple of steps back. And as Dabo pointed out, in one of those clips that we played earlier, you got to have a little luck. Now, to me, the more prepared you are, the more lucky you're going to be, right? Luck is where, my old man used to say, luck is where preparation meets perspiration. Ugh.
I'm guessing he didn't sound like that when he said it.
No, not at all. Not at all. But he still said it, and it made me sick, and I hate it, but I get it, right? You've got to make Carson Beck make mistakes, Because I'll tell you this, I think Carson Beck's a fine quarterback. I don't think Georgia's won because of Carson Beck. I think he's fine. I think he's good enough to win. I think he's good enough to get them there. I think he's good enough to win a natty. But I don't think Georgia wins because of Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck can be taken advantage of. I think Carson Beck will make some mistakes that Clemson can take advantage of. But I think you have to make him make those mistakes. I don't think you're going to get away with letting Carson Beck be comfortable in the pocket. He's got 3 returning wide receivers this year. I don't think that you're going to be able to win if you let Carson Beck go out there and make an argument for consideration to the natty. I don't think that's the right play. So, to me, the game plan, if I'm Clemson, is I want to bust up the offensive line of Georgia. Not easy, right? You've heard me use the expression before. Yeah, I know how to stop a train. You stand in front of it and you push real hard. But the ability to execute the plan is what comes into question, right? Stopping a train is easy. Stand in front of it and push real hard. Doesn't mean you have the strength or ability to make that happen. And while Clemson's strength defensively, I think, is going to be up front, there's no question about that, Georgia's offensive line is going to be exceptional. So it is going to take a perfect game, not just out of Cade Klubnik, but it's going to take a perfect game out of the front 7 for Clemson as well. And it's going to take a perfect game up against a team that's just better than you are up front. It's going to take a perfect game up against one of the best offensive lines in football. And that's a big ask, dude. That's a big ask. That's a tough ask out of that squad. So, is there a chance? Yeah. But as we have mentioned a number of times, you're underdogs for a reason. You're underdogs you're a 2-touchdown underdog for a reason. Because we know what is required. The perfect game. It's going to require the perfect game. And asking a team to be perfect in week number 1, there are very few teams that can pull that off. There are very few teams that are going to be perfect in week 1. It just doesn't happen. So to lean into that, to ask for that is it's not something I'm putting my money on. I'll simply put it that way. It's not something I would put my money on. Texas said, okay, so if Clemson wins against Georgia, I want it on the record that I'm already flying my Clemson flag on my car now, not after we win. Okay, Zoe?
All right, tell the truth. It's stuck. You can't get it off without ripping, your something on your
damn
car
window
off.
won't go down.
I just can't. I mean, I get it. I get it. But you go with that. It works better than the other thing.
Steven says, that's it. I have to put on my Clemson hat. The Tigers are going to beat Georgia by at least 7, and I'm leaning towards 2 scores. The Tigers gave Georgia everything they could handle with a new QB in DJ Uiagalelei in 2021. We now have a returning Cade, and I believe Zoe hit the Tiger sounder.
Nah, I don't do requests.
Ozzy!
Yeah, I did it one time, and that's because we had a guest.
Keegan said, jumping out of an airplane, sitting inside of an airplane, neither for Zoe.
Exactly.
Just nothing to do with
we
planes.
know my stipulation. Harrison Ford's getting older and older, so I may not even be allowed to fly anymore. So
at some point, we're going to get like, hey, do you guys want to go out to San Francisco and cover a Kansas City Super Bowl? And I'm going to have to say to Zoe, get on my plane.
First of all, out of all the scenarios you've ever put forth, that is the most unrealistic of all.
Kansas City playing in a Super Bowl?
No, them flying us out somewhere. I mean, that's not happening.
Maybe
come
one day.
on. I mean, you can dream.
A boy can dream.
Yeah, I suppose.
Wesley said, whiskey in the cold. Band name dibs. Respect. Shane says, as T. Swizzle stated earlier, Clemson has to play a perfect game to be close. Yeah. would agree with that. T. Wilson said, in all seriousness, I think it will be a much closer game if Clemson plays a great game in all phases of the game. And I think that's kind of it to me, Zoe. For Clemson to keep it close and be in the books, they've got to play perfect on offense, defense, and special teams. I think if Georgia is perfect in 2 of the 3 aspects of the game, Clemson doesn't have a chance.
The biggest advantage they have, if they would have one, is it's the first game of the season.
Correct. You are almost kind of, I don't want to say banking on, but you're almost kind of banking on Georgia needing some time to hit their stride. The problem you are going to bump into if you are relying on Georgia taking some time to hit their stride is that this is a team with 9 returning offensive starters, right? This team's played together extensively, won together extensively. This is not new to this team. This is not something that this team is going to take some time to figure it out, bud. They've already got it figured out. They figured it out last year. They put it together last year. You, on the other hand, haven't. You, on the other hand, are going to have to figure it out. And just like it's week 1 for Georgia, it's week 1 for Clemson too. And it being week 1 for Clemson with a lot of guys who are going to get their first look at a top-notch team, you're going to have to be perfect. Georgia doesn't. Let's take a break. Back after this, time for Fight Club with Lonzo when we return on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, 45 seconds. Be right back. More vacation for Lonzo.
Well, I'll still be here, but I just won't be here as early. So help me make up for that Wednesday day. It's weird. I haven't seen a countdown like that on a spot. How did they do that? Why did they do that? Weird. Lights out, by the way.
Love it.
Dude, I have so much work to do. I got to do my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday work today and tomorrow, as well as my Thursday and Friday work. But if anyone can do it,
It's you, bud.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but will she love it too? Oh no. You watched the final episode of Acolyte yet?
I'm not. I haven't watched the last 3 episodes of Acolyte.
Don't start with the room temperature stuff again, because he start getting a nervous tick over his left eye.
So gross, man.
I am so pumped and excited to be back here, not only on the Rob Brown Show, not only on the Fan Upstate, but for the Fight Club.
Fight Club!
Because I was challenged earlier saying that, I give too much love to a certain company. And because of that, there's been a company that I admit I haven't given as much love to, and I need to talk about more, and that would be TNA Impact. So we're going to be talking some TNA Impact here. First of all, because I believe in Joe Hendry, and I know that Rob does too. By the way, they're going to be in Spartanburg in September. Rob won't be here.
Dude, listen.
But
you know what
but
I'm
I will represent because they have tapings on Friday night and Saturday night. I'm going to that Friday night taping. I'm
As
going
you
to be
should.
there.
As you should. I am missing Weezer. I am missing Steve Martin and Martin Short in concert. I am missing Hootie and the Blowfish that way. And it's all in 1 week. That would have been, scratch that. Let me be clear. That is going to be the greatest week of my life. Okay?
Yes.
It is going to be the greatest week of my life.
Fix that. Yes.
It is going to be the greatest week of my life. It's going to include the greatest day of my life. I can't wait. But I would be full of crap to tell you I'm not a little bummed out that Steve Martin and Martin Short, who I've always wanted to see, Hootie and the Blowfish, who somehow I have never gotten to see, they're playing on the night of the wedding.
They did break up for a while, but they do, like a golf tournament and stuff still, I believe, in South Carolina, and they play. I mean, they've been in the area some, so you could have found
Not since I
way.
moved here.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think the closest they played is Columbia.
Well, I mean, that's still, that's for you. That's still in the area. Come on, you'll go to Columbia. We went to Columbia to watch wrestling.
Many things.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not wrong.
I'll be going to Columbia.
Anyway,
in a
listen.
couple
The
weeks.
point here is I haven't gotten to see them yet. That's a huge bummer. And I they're playing the night of the wedding, so I have to miss them again.
All right. Speaking of Joe Hendry, because I love to talk about myself, and I was on vacation. I don't know if you guys knew that, but whilst on vacation, there's this thing Yes, it was a perfect use of the word.
I agree. I say it all the time. I'm just impressed you used it.
Whilst on vacation, and even before that, I have Joe Hendry's theme song on my Spotify, which I play every time my wife gets in the car, which just I'm going to catch her singing along eventually. So we got to our condo, whatever it is, at the beach. It's not really a hotel room. It's one of those timeshare things where you rent for so we did that. So we're there. And the first thing I did is I busted out the Joe Hendry theme song. The granddaughter sang it the entire time we were there. Me, my son, and the granddaughter did a wonderful presentation of I Believe in Joe Hendry. She stood in the middle. She sang it top of her lungs. She doesn't know the in-between words so much, but that's fine. Just every once in a while, we were like at Broadway at the beach, and she's walking around, and she kind of looks at her mom and goes, I believe in Joe Hendry. And they're just like, I win, because that's just amazing.
This dude did something miraculous. He did a podcast not too long ago, and they asked him how he came up with that. And he said, look, he said, I figured it out. And not that this isn't something a lot of people figured out, but if you give the audience something that they can do with the wrestler, they go over. Right. Has anything ever been as impactful as Stone Cold creating a world in which the audience just yells, what? And he went over.
Yeah, and some people hate that now, including me.
Sure,
it's annoying.
Right, but at the time, it was the biggest thing in wrestling. Or The Rock just saying the words millions and having an arena scream back at him, 10 million. Or Daniel Bryan, who literally just pointed in the air. And I sat in the Superdome for WrestleMania 30 with 77,000 people doing the same thing. So they asked Joe Hendry, they're like, how'd you end up here? And Joe Hendry said, basically, I figured out I need to give the audience something to do with me. And that's going to work. And then I thought, what's easier than asking them to clap? And then I just made the song around, I want them not just to clap, but to clap in a particular way. So I had to work that into a song, and then I wrote the song to 2 claps. And I listened to the guy, and I'm like, it's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard. And dude figured out the formula.
He absolutely did. And according to what he said on NXT, he's going to be around there for a while, which is what we believe. I mean, I don't know when his contract is up with TNA, and I don't think it matters. So I still believe And I think you were the one that told me that there's a possibility that TKO buys TNA.
Yeah, that's there's all sorts of smoke around that, and I'm going to be straight up with you. I absolutely think I think the deal's done at this point. I think it's A, specifics, and I think it's B, I think they're waiting for the next Netflix move, which is only a couple of months out.
Yeah, but see, I think this has more to do with CW, and I think they make the NXT brand even stronger, and there are even people out there chanting NXT NA.
Yeah.
But they make the brand even stronger if they could bring in those guys to NXT when they switch to CW. And CW, as we know, is trying to be a sports channel, trying to go away from all the superheroes and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is another step towards that. So we'll see what happens, because also if they merge them, they got to figure out how to add the new with the old, because a lot of the stars for TNA are like the Hardy Boys and Nick Nemeth, who was Dolph Ziggler.
Yep.
Guys like that who used to be in WWE who are now in TNA, and like the Rascals. I mean, there are so many things that they're doing that I think is making the mix of NXT and TNA. It's a good mix, but I think Joe Hendry is one of the biggest reasons why it drew attention. And good on him. I mean, he's an older guy. It's not like he just started.
He's like 36.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as old as LA Knight, but still, but he's still pretty old. All right, there we go. I covered some TNA. There we it. I've covered some TNA. Let's cover something else that's not getting enough coverage. Let's talk some UFC. Jon Jones has pleaded guilty to to 2 misdemeanor charges. So allegedly, on March 30th, they came to his house to get a drug test, and a worker has said that Jones seemed and smelled like he was intoxicated from alcohol. The worker alleges that Jones put her phone in his pocket, got into her face, and said, "Why you bleeping people coming so early? Do you know what happens?"
Wait. What time was it?
It doesn't say, but I mean, I'm guessing it was like 1 p.m. That's just my guess. I'm going 1 p.m. And he says, "Do you know what happens to people who come to my house? They end up dead." So that's supposedly,
all right.
That supposedly is what he said, and he has pleaded not guilty to it. Why can this guy not stay out of trouble?
Because he's an idiot, right? Like, is there any question about that anymore? It's because Jon Jones is a big dummy. And I will say this, and when we look back at the list of athletes whose careers were derailed by themselves, Jon Jones is the poster boy of it, right? Because he kind of ran the gambit of doing everything wrong. He's gotten arrests for drugs. He's gotten arrests for violence. He's gotten arrests for just about everything that we dislike. And the worst part is, and I mean this, and I've said it from the time he busted on the scenes, I genuinely believe that if this dude had a good head on his shoulders, Jon Jones would have been in the mix for the GOAT. He would have been in the mix to be the best of all time, but he couldn't stop punching himself in his own genitalia.
Dana White still calls him that. And that's the thing. He still calls him best pound per pound of all time. But how much has he actually fought in the last couple of years? You know, that's why I was so mad that they basically gave him that title, and then he hasn't defended it since.
Yeah.
So now is he going to, I think it's November when he was supposed to go up against, that's why his name is a white dude who's a firefighter, and I hate that name's Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
I got there. It's
so proud of you. It's early.
It's a difficult name. You know, I'm finding ways to get to the path that I need to remember names. But anyway, he's supposed to fight Stipe, and that's been put off a couple times. Will he actually get there? I don't know. I really don't know. All right, let us jump to WWE really quick, and then we'll try to squeeze in some AEW. Does the Randy Orton beat down further cement the Bloodline as the scariest faction in all of wrestling right now? Who are you more afraid of faction-wise? I mean, AEW, you still got the BCC. I don't think they're as scary as the Bloodline is right now.
No, they're not. The Bloodline is fantastic. You've got a genuine enforcer. You've got the maniacal lunatic, right? You know what the Bloodline did? The Bloodline has built effectively what made the Shield so good at their prime, right? You have a badass enforcer that can take down anybody. You've got the crazy maniac who is not afraid to get stabbed in the eyeball if that's what it takes. And then you've got kind of a mob leader, faction leader. What makes the story interesting, though, is that Solo playing the role of Seth Rollins of the Shield, but not being that good at it and just trying, like he's the kid. And like I've even said, I think the reason they keep putting him like in suits that don't fit is to kind of visually display that he's trying to fill a suit that he doesn't fill, but he believes he does. And now he's built a crew of guys behind him that you're not afraid of Solo Sikoa. You're afraid of the three guys behind Solo and the fact that they are just blind listening to him. The only issue I have is we know where this is going to end up, right? This is going to end up with the return of Roman, probably The Rock getting involved again at some point. And that's all well and good. The only reason that's a problem to me is that you know what that means for Cody Kevin and Randy Orton, which is they're getting their butts whipped all the way until Roman shows back up at some point and kind of goes, hey, I know I screwed you guys over for like 4 years. That's my bad. But can I get back on your good side and help you take down the bloodline because Solo has ruined this great thing? So this is going to be one of those stories, though, that you got to look at and go, even if it's predictable from A to B, can it be entertaining from A to B? Because I'll take predictable if it's entertaining.
Yeah, all I know is they're pretty scary, and they have the potential to get even scarier.
Fatu's a dude, by the way.
He is, for sure. Just the crazy look in all of those guys' eyes may actually be real. It may not be. It may not be a work.
You've built a faction where Tama Tonga is kind of the lame castaway, and Tama Tonga is a menace.
Absolutely. All right, I don't know if you caught up on the Wyatt Six yet, but if you've seen the Rowan video, wow. That was rough. He talked about how he had lost two brothers and how he was, I'm just big time summarizing here because of time. He, about how, Uncle Howdy, Bo, whoever reached out a hand when he was at his lowest and how he used to have a family and now he has a family again. I mean, it's just really good. And I like what they're doing here. And I hope they do it for each individual member. But when they get to a certain member who hasn't really talked on TV yet, what are they going to do? When Dexter Lumis is the next guy that they talk to,
but I think,
is he going to talk?
I think you can utilize Dexter Lumis kind of the way that you're utilizing Fatu with the bloodline. I don't think that guy needs to. I think you can do something just like put Dexter on a screen and then instead of having him talk, maybe like you flash up a picture of Indy Hartwell. You flash up a picture of the family. The way. You flash up pictures because Dexter Lumis has got a number of those stories where he got abandoned. He got taught. So I don't even think you need to have him talk. I think you can keep him Dexter Lumis, but just flash up these things, these pictures, and then just go away and let him keep being the silent enforcer of that group. All I know is, dude, Eric Rowan was through the original Wyatt family when Brody passed away in AEW, when he came out to kind of be a part of that send-off. Eric Rowan is a phenomenally entertaining dude. Like, he gets it and he fits really well into this. I have not seen that yet. I'm watching through Monday Raw right now, so I'm a little behind, but it would shock me 0% if Eric Rowan does as much heavy lifting in this whole thing as Bo does.
So these videotape vignettes, I think, is great. The question is, does the fan base have enough patience to let them get through every member? I hope so, because I think Nikki's going to do an excellent job with it. Like I said, I think they all will. But the concern for me is Dexter Lumis. And the fact that Bo Dallas came out and got beat up, kind of what Bray used to, but at one point, and unless I'm wrong, I was at the beach when I was watching it, he said, there he is. And when he said that, then they came out. Like, he needs to be beat to a moment to where he sees the Uncle Howdy or he sees Bray, whatever he's seeing. I don't know. The thing is, I think these guys are actually going to wrestle eventually. I don't think they're going to wrestle with their masks on. We'll see.
No, I don't think they will either. They're big. They're cumbersome. But no, I think you're with Bo, you have to acknowledge that there's a lot of the Fiend Bray split duo with Bo, right? Like the video, and I think that was kind of the point of those vignette videos they were putting out where he was talking to Uncle Howdy. The point is it's kind of a back and forth personality. And I think you saw that when they played a video and then 3 minutes later he's in the GM's office as Bo Dallas, right? And then you got him coming out to talk to Chad Gable, and that's going to be a switch flip kind of moment. I really like what they're doing here. And I told you the day after they did the debut where they committed mass murder behind the scenes, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like this all that much. And now I'm right back in. I'll tell you who I am interested in seeing with that cameo. Nikki Cross. Like, I loved unhinged Nikki. I think they go a little overboard with the crazy female wrestler trope, right? Like there's always 2 or 3 of those going at any given moment. Nikki Cross is one of the few that you pulled it off and you're like, yeah, she's good at this.
Yeah, she was amazing when we got to see her early on in NXT in Spartanburg. And just when she came out and slapped herself all the time and all that kind of stuff, we got to see that during that run. And that
what was the name of that faction they had together in NXT?
Insanity.
Yes. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Genuinely loved it.
Her husband was in there and a couple other people. Yeah, me too. And then they brought them up without bringing her up, which made another Vince McMahon decision, which made no sense at all. So it's my understanding before we go to break that next week, AEW is going to be here. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know
Dynamite.
That.
And
not only will they be there, you and I will be there.
Yeah, and not
You're
only
come
that,
out late. It is a weeknight.
not only that, we'll take it under advisement. And the other thing is, we are going to have some wrestlers possibly live in studio.
Possibly live in studio. That is up in the air. We do know we will have some interviews. As of right now, we have Dax and we have friend of the show, Chris Statlander, who will either stop by trying to get it in studio. We'll find out. But I will also tell you that we have a good likelihood of getting others on, including, and let me underline, bold, and italicize this, potentially, Lonzo, potentially a champion coming on the show. So we'll let you know when we get those locked down, who and when.
Well, that's usually what we do here is we have champions.
That's true. And we will figure out a way to get them to say something that makes us dirt sheet famous again. We'll see how it goes. We'll get there.
No, we don't strive for that. We ask
It just
legitimate
happens.
questions, and we ask questions that other people don't ask, and it ends up turning into something
Don't
like
disagree.
that. We're not looking for clicks.
James
We'll take them
said,
if we get them, though.
Is Damian Priest a face now? You know, I'll tell you what I think.
The stuff he's doing with Dom Monday night was hilarious.
You know what I think is turning Damian face? His just open laughing at Dominic Mysterio right now.
Oh, for sure.
Is my favorite
and
thing.
setting him up for everything.
It's my favorite thing.
And by the way, he looked good against Braun Strowman.
He did look good
He
against
looked
Braun Strowman.
legitimate as a champion against Braun Strowman.
Which is good because honestly, at this point, the title reign of Damian Priest is Judgment Day, right? But now they're trying to walk him into being a legit champion because if he's not legit going up against Gunther, that's not going to be a fun build-up. What I will say is Zoe and I have some thinking to do about who are we pulling for, friend of the show Damian Priest or friend of the show Gunther.
It's very difficult. And I was watching at the beach going, they interviewed that guy, interviewed that guy, both of them
Both
in
in
person.
person.
What do we do? I don't know what we do.
Yeah. All right, take a break, come back. Final segment of the show is up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Started freaking out thinking that was next week. It's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because next week is ACC.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no, it
And I
can't be.
can't tell you how frustrating it would have been to have to go up there, drive back Tuesday for Creed, drive back Wednesday for Thursday morning. Nope, I'd have stayed here. I'd have gone to AEW Wednesday, then driven Wednesday night overnight back up there to be there for Thursday morning show, which I absolutely would have done.
I probably am going. I'm not going to say yes for sure. If it would have been on Thursday, it definitely would have been because then that Friday. No, but that's next Friday. Never mind. I will try. I will say, and we didn't get to this, that I not sure it wasn't a mistake to put MJF versus Will Ospreay last night, and they wrestled for an hour. I mean, that's a money match.
They did an hour?
Yeah, they did.
Iron Man.
Yeah, but
was it a good hour? Or was it like a good 15
yeah, but
minutes?
the problem is, if I recall, it wasn't a no DQ, and AEW does that some. They bend the rules.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you just list it as no DQ, then you don't have to worry about bending it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven. I'm sure the show was great without me. I had like about 5%, but it's a good 5%. Exactly, James. I mean, that was as soon as MJF came out, and it's like, and the next match, like, what? Why are they doing that now? Okay. I have an idea why they did it, but still, I don't want to get into it. And
in London and Paris.
Yeah, it was still in my head too.
Tokyo.
Because I was getting ready to say, I do plan on being at that Friday show and singing at the top of my lungs.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
And doing, yes, without a doubt.
Absolutely nailed that, by the way. That will be the one thing that gets so out of his seat for our show.
Oh, I'm doing. Are you kidding? You know, I got to be a Firefly one of the last times. I got to do the Finn Balor thing.
Mm-hmm.
Got to sing.
I want you to know when he comes out, I will 100% go. Can't wait.
Got to sing Jericho's theme. Was disappointed. Thought it wasn't going to happen.
He really did. He really did tease us with it.
I will participate. I'm just not going to stand up and yell and do all that kind of stuff during the match. I also have fun watching other people do that stuff. Like, since we never sit together because Rob doesn't want to sit with me, I will look from a distance because his seats are always better and say and try to figure out what Rob's going to do, how he's going to react to stuff. We sat together like once, I think. It's just a matter of when we each ask for tickets. That's what I'm told. But always Rob gets the better tickets. I don't know why.
I have never once asked.
He's never been invited to come down ringside, though.
No, I have not.
This guy has.
No, I have not. All right, got about 6 minutes left, and then it's time for What the X is going on. And then we will call it a day here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Up.
I'm tired, man. This is like work today. Why did I schedule my vacation like that? I could have been at home asleep.
I am 100%. I need a vacation from my vacation guy. I'm 100% a guy that I know that. And I don't schedule the vacation where I come back and then have a day off at home and then go back to work. I come back the day before I have to go back to work. Next weekend, the lady friend and I are heading down to the location we are getting married in to, you got to do the last play. You got to meet the vendors and test the food and try out the signature cocktails and all that. Phenomenal vacation. And in one of my favorite cities in America that we're going to, we're leaving next Thursday. So I'll finish up ACC Media Days, and then as soon as I'm done picking her up and we're on the road, and then we'll stay there all day Friday, all day Saturday, and we'll leave Sunday afternoon, get back Sunday night for me to then turn around and come back to work. I am not building an extra off day into my vacation, dude. I'm coming back like 7 hours before I've got to be at work for the next time. I'm absolutely need a vacation from my vacation day guy. Zoe's doing great. All right. Leave him alone.
See, I usually don't do that though, but because of work, I wanted to make sure that certain things got done. So I schedule my vacation around how I wanted to get work done because I'm a company man. I don't know if you knew this.
But
Usually I need time to recover because I am not good with travel time.
You should all be like Zoe.
Although we made pretty good time getting there and coming home, but you know.
All right, we played for you earlier. The clip of Dabo Swinney talking about the unintended consequences of the expanded playoffs, right? And we got into the conversation about, well, if you're Dabo and your Tigers are 11-0 and you got a spot in the ACC title game that if you win, you get a first round playoff bye, et cetera, and you're playing South Carolina, why would you play your guys? Why would you not sit them? The goal is a natty, right? That's the goal. Like, it's nice to beat your rival. It's nice to win. It's nice to go undefeated. But at the end of the day, the goal of every college football team when they start a season is to win the national championship. So why would you play your guys in a rivalry game if there is no benefit to a win other than being able to talk for the next year? There's not really one. So Dabo Swinney hater Paul Feinbaum decided that he needed to weigh in with his opinion. Asked about those comments by Greeny, Feinbaum said, quote, "No, he's not right. Dabo, that was plain dumb. What happened to you? You used to be a voice of reason in college football, and now you're the get off my lawn guy. Everybody knows what we're doing here. Everybody understands that this is essentially the NFL playoffs. Of course there's unintended consequences. That is not breaking news, Dabo. Your goal isn't to find problems with the system. Your goal is to get back in the playoff someplace you haven't been in a while." End quote. Greenberg went on to respond to that. He said, yes, Dabo is right because we're now going from a sport that's historically been focused almost exclusively on its regular season, and it's becoming a postseason driven sport like practically all the rest of them are. And thus, you're going to see those kind of adjustments made immediately, end quote. Here's the thing, Zoe. Nobody's wrong here except for Feinbaum saying that Dabo's get off my lawn guy. Because you didn't hear Dabo say, this is bad, this is dumb, I don't like it. In fact, quite the opposite. It said it's not going to change my philosophy. He's not get off my lawn guy. He's, hey, you asked for it, you got it. Here's what's different. Now let's go play the game. But outside of that, nobody's really wrong here. Paul is correct. The goal for Dabo is to get into the playoffs. That is the goal. That's all that matters at this point. So but that doesn't make Dabo wrong. That doesn't make Dabo wrong. And also Greenberg is right. It is a postseason driven sport now, right? Just like the NFL, just like Major League Baseball, NBA, MLS, it's postseason driven at this point. And that was always going to become the inevitable outcome of making college football more and more and more about the money.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Freaking nailed it.
Yeah,
nailed it.
Like no one knew what you were doing.
Yes!
All right, the first thing that's Xing, I'm guessing this didn't happen while I was gone because no one can do it like me, but maybe it did. The first thing that's Xing is Brandon Ayuk.
So Brandon Ayuk obviously earlier this week asked for a trade away from the San Francisco 49ers after contract negotiations between the vet and the Niners broke down. Ayuk set to enter the final year of his contract, not even one of the top 10 paid wide receivers in the National Football League. He was asking for more money than Debo, and the Niners were like, yo, hold up, you ain't Debo, give some time. Well, Ayuk asked for a trade. Apparently, the Niners received multiple phone calls from teams looking to get on the horn and make that trade happen, and then they said, yeah, no, we're not trading the guy. If he's unhappy, then he can sit it out or play for what he's making and deal with it later. Well, Shefty has now reported that multiple teams have called the Niners, upped their offer, and said, we will pay him what he wants. We will give him that money, meaning he will accept that trade as opposed to being traded for a one-year rental somewhere.
Including a trade with the Raiders for a certain receiver that
Devontae
is trying to find his way to the Jets.
Which is also interesting because Aaron Rodgers kicked off a controversy back at the beginning of this week when he said that he can't wait to, quote, play with Devontae again, meaning he thinks that's coming down the pipe. That's interesting. Here's the most interesting thing. I looked it up last night. When you look at the odds to land Ayuk right now. Do you know who's inside the top 5 right now? Great one.
Jets.
The Carolina Panthers.
Really?
Yep.
Who are they going to trade?
Yep.
Who are they going to trade for him?
A boatload of draft picks.
Okay. All right. All right.
Now, I don't know if those lines jumped out like immediately after the announcement. And obviously, those lines will jump around as teams respond. I believe the Steelers were in that mix. The Patriots were in that mix. The Niners and the Cardinals. And I think the Panthers slid in right after them.
All right. The next thing it's Xing is Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Don't do it. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Beetlejuice 2 dropping in some amount of days from now. They have, I think the trailer comes out today.
Trailer's the second one just
the
came
second
out.
one, the
It's
full.
just
I think
like-
the full one.
Like it just came out. Well, no, there's been a full one. This is the second one just came out like an hour ago. I think it
You
was.
say what you want. I'm excited as hell about this movie.
We'll see. He
I
shouldn't.
can't
He
wait.
shouldn't age because
I
he's dead.
can't
He shouldn't
wait.
age. But we'll see. I'm just being a little too technical. The next thing that's Xing is Bronny James.
Bronny James had him finally a game last night. His scoring average in the NBA Summer League has been about 4 a game, put up 14 last night and almost looked like a pro. That's not my favorite part. My favorite part is somebody took a video of Boston Celtics forward Jaylen Brown, who was at a Lakers Summer League game, and somebody caught him on a candid camera telling some ladies that he was with, and you can read his lips, I don't think he's a pro player yet. And now we got ourselves a little Jalen v. Bronny v. LeBron rivalry.
Someone actually compared his summer league stats to Bronny's stats, and they're about the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how this lays out, but we'll see.
And finally, Star Wars is Xing for some reason.
Star Wars is Xing because the Acolyte season finale has dropped or drops tonight. I think tonight, last night, right?
It was yesterday. No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday rather. Yeah.
How you feel? Have you watched it yet?
Yes.
And you don't have to tell me anything, good or bad. Did it save itself? Because I read a lot of people say the last episode kind of saved itself.
No, absolutely not. There was some character appearances. That's all I'm saying. Which were speculated on already.
Yeah,
happening.
I saw one of them already.
Yeah, it's just no, it did not save
I
itself.
did see an article that said because blank showed up, it's earned a second season. I'm like,
No, there's-
kind of feels like blank showed up because it wasn't going to get a second season.
Not that petitions work, but there are petitions to Disney to not make a second season. So anyway, what do you know?
All right, boys and girls, that's it. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. We are back tomorrow for the Friday afternoon edition. It's going to be even more fun than today's was. Can you believe it? I think. We'll see. The Great Lonzo's back. My name is Rob Brown. Have a lovely rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a
Don't know if that's just, fine, whatever. I don't like it.
Say his name.
I don't know if Lisa videotaped it or not, but Silver singing that is great.
That's really funny.
Hopefully she doesn't, school's about to go back. Hopefully she doesn't in the middle of first grade, just every once in a while blurt that out. That probably will get, But if she does, I'll go pick her up from school.
Oh, man. Well, there's your show, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
All right, kids. That's going to be it for us. I got to go do stuff. Boomer take.
Well, I was part of the performance. So, and I
think he's referring to the fact that you said taped it.
Oh, okay. Whatever. recorded it. I mean, you know,
There it is. Filmed it. I don't know. Whatever. Have a good day. See y'all tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. Bye.